You are watching the vodka stream.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Yo, what is happening, motherfuckers? How's everybody doing? It's Friday. Ugh. Gonna be hot tomorrow. Gonna be hot tomorrow where I'm at. Jeez, just saw the notification. 95 degrees. Yay. Summer is definitely here. Ugh. Good times. Thank God for AC, right, guys? What's happening? Who's out there? How's everybody doing? It's Friday. It's Friday. Yeah. I mean, some people have said, yeah, I'm something like a god, you know. Just all right. It's that time of the week. It definitely is. What's going on, Jose? Happy Friday. Blaze it up, drink it up. There you go. Greetings, Mr. Hummingbird. How you doing? In local news, people confirm Zack Snyder is indeed a god. Yes. He, on the other hand, yeah. Me, you know, not so much. I'm trying to work up to god status. Mr. Fear Jason, how you doing, sir? What is going on? Paul Smith, Miguel, how you doing? How you doing? And we got Mama Film Junkie here. She just got home from Reno. Look at that. Nice. Hopefully she had a good time. Hopefully you had a good time, Mom. Chris will be visiting her on Sunday. What's going on, Mr. Jason? Everything's good. Yeah. Hopefully you're doing good, recuperating, all that stuff. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. All right. Can I film your junk on my knees, junk? Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. Let's we're already going to that territory, huh? Where were you? I was going to be 1:15 next Thursday. What? 1:15. Yeah. Sorry, I read that wrong. I was like, what? I was thinking you were saying the time. Yeah. Vegas, I'm sure it's going to be a lot worse. But you know what? At least it's a dry heat, right? What's going on, Mr. Geek Studios? How's it going? Week went by quick. It kind of did, didn't it? Kind of did, even though I think on Wednesday I kept feeling like it was Thursday and stuff. So, yeah. Dave, I have the same Batman poster as you. Which one? Which one? Which one are you talking about? That one? That? I guess this guy, right? Yeah, or that one? There's a couple of them right there. So, you know, I'm pretty sure you're probably meaning the one that's mostly in the shot, right? Hopefully, huh? Yeah, he had a great time. No go Dodgers. Yeah, well, the Giants won today, so at least there's that. That's right. Talkman stealing another home run, which was great. It's the one above the, yeah. So this one right here, cool. Yeah, I got that one was it for my birthday? I think it was for my birthday. Yeah, I think I got it for my birthday. So, but anyways, guys, look at this. I got a new bottle of vodka here, something I have not tried yet, but I was at Bevmo yesterday because I was like, you know what? I needed, you know, it's funny. See, I was over in that little plaza over there. First I went to the mall to get some other little things too, which I'll show you in a bit. But right next there was a Bevmo, and I was out of water because I've told you guys, you know, and hopefully, you know, there should be no pee breaks, but you know, I was been on a new regimen where, you know, a certain time I ingest a lot of water. And, you know, of course, I've taken some pee breaks during Film Chunky Lives. Don't worry, it should be okay for tonight. But so I was like out of water. So I went, well, there's no stores like grocery stores in this area. I don't want to have to go all the way over here. Bevmo, I mean, it's Bevmo. They got to have water. And sure enough, they did. And I was like, yeah, I'll pick up a bottle of something. So I got this, which is Tahoe Blue Vodka. That's right. Never had it. But apparently it's made with Tahoe water. That's right. It's an extraordinary 3 vodka blend. And and it shows how they do it. Oh, so they do it with 50% sugar cane, grape, and corn. Save me a piece of that corn for later. And then so it's all that. So I'm gonna give this a whirl, guys. I never had it before. See what's going on with this. See, not even broken the seal yet. There we go. Throw that over there. Oh, I love that it. Oh, wait. It's on there pretty damn tight. Holy crap. There we go. Oh, you got to love that sound. So good. Always love the little cork sound. All right, so let's see. Like I said, made from the water of Tahoe. Been to Tahoe once for my brother's 40th birthday. We went a couple of years ago. It was a lot of fun, family and stuff. Really a lot of fun. So, anyways, all right. Well, cheers, guys. Here's to here's for a good night of nerdy discussions and all that stuff. Salute. Tastes like vodka. No. Tastes pretty good. Smooth. Pretty smooth. Yeah, not too shabby. Not too shabby. Cheers. Ooh, what's going on? All right, we got Nicotina. Nicotina here. We got Javier. What's up? How's it going? Special K, how you doing, sir? Yeah, not too bad. So Tahoe, where my money, get that corn out of my face. Yeah, get that corn out of my face. Love a good Nacho Libre reference, I will say. I'm all about Nacho Libre. You know, it sucks that we never got a sequel to Nacho Libre. Couldn't get one now because they would just call it racist or something because it's Jack Black doing it. Even though they kind of explain all that. But anyways, so I got some new pops that are right here. You know what? I broke the rule and I took Black Adam out of the box, you know, because I kept it in the box because somebody told me to keep it in the box. I don't think she's in the chat right now, but she took hers out of the box. I was like, what the heck? I thought you weren't supposed to take certain ones out of the box, but she had a Black Adam out of the box. You know what we're talking about, Wonder Meg. And so I was like, you know what? Then I'm going to take, because I wanted to look at this guy and I love the lightning all around him and stuff like that. It's just badass. So I took him out of the box. What's going on, Eric? How you doing? And then I got Butcha. That's right. Stop being I'm not going to say the word, but yeah. So I got Butcher yesterday. I've already had Homelander. So, that's not new, but I figured since I had Butcher out, I might as well. And then of course I got Sub-Zero from the movie. Even though the movie, kind of was a little disappointing, I still liked Sub-Zero in there. So I don't even know how many. I know I only saw 3 different ones when it came to that, but yeah, there's my Sub-Zero movie pop right there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the new pops right there. And then of course I have myself, my own personal pop right here. So there you go. There you go. So that's yeah. So there we go. You're rocking the single malt scotch. Look at you, Jason. Fancy. Been a while since I've had some scotch. Been a bit since I had some scotch. But scotch. I've never been like a big scotch guy, more of a bourbon guy. So yeah, it's always but yeah, but usually like if somebody has some scotch, I'll have some scotch, that's for sure. So all right, let me go ahead and do that right there. All right. And yeah, hopefully you guys are, what the heck, so many things, man. There's so many things, so many weird things. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss, but of course my guest will be in here. Somebody who I've actually talked to like occasionally behind the scenes. We actually are part of a fantasy football league too. Yeah. So when it comes to me and Skyler, yeah, we've known each other for a little bit. Just never had like a one-on-one kind of thing. Maybe a few messages here and there. But I've always like, hey, well, want to come on the show? Talk some nerdy stuff. So we'll talk to him when he gets in here. Should be a good time, and then hopefully some panel people will show up, and we'll talk about some stuff. Let's not talk about that guy though. Devin Faraci. Yeah, he did some tweeting today. Isn't that fun? It's always fun when he tries to come back into the light. Ugh, it's gross. You're awesome, Will Diesel. What are you talking about? Is that Gal Gadot rumor for real or not? Which Gal Gadot? Which one? What's up? What's going on, Sinfinity? Yeah, it's been a little while, man. Where have you been? Missed ya. But I don't know which rumor are you talking about? Special K. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Was it the one where she's gonna leave after Wonder Woman 3? That's the one rumor that I'm thinking about. Maybe. All right. Let's see here. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, come on. Why is that not working? What the hell? Oh, stupid thing. Which one? The gal is done? No, she's not done. She's got Wonder Woman 3 to do. That's what I don't understand when people were like freaking out when she was talking about how like 4 years ago Wonder Woman came out, changed her life, and blah blah blah. A lot of people were like, is she done? It's like, but she still has another movie. I mean, let's at least have her do Wonder Woman 3 before we start going, hey, she's completely done with Wonder Woman, you know? So I mean, there's been how many times have we heard stuff like that? You know, how many times have we heard that Daniel Craig was going to be not Bond anymore? I mean, after like Skyfall, or you know, obviously after this one it's going to happen. But you know, I mean, there's always like the speculation sometimes when these people are going to hang up their cape or their cufflinks or her lasso or whatever the hell. So you know, we just gotta be patient. We still got a whole other movie that she's going to be doing. So and you never know. You never know. I don't know what, I know that was just being passed around, but I think people are just making the assumption. So don't worry about that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thing all good here. Hey, we got a new member, Compton. Comp 7 on. Or Compton, I don't know. But thank you for joining. And yes, guys, if you want to join, become a Film Junkie member, do so. I do post-show videos during the week, post-show vlogs, and we do once a week, do like a members-only stream where you guys can like pick my brain and do whatever it is, you know, say whatever. And, you know, and then, of course, hit that like, thumbs up, all that stuff. And then if you want to get some merchandise, like my Vodka Stream shirt, which is down below, do so. It's all provided down below. You blame Ben Everts? Yeah, I know. I blame him too, actually. So, and then thank you, Jason. Thank you for the super chat, sir. For the pirate ship, baby. You're awesome. I appreciate it, man. You guys are all awesome. But all right, let's go ahead and invite in my guest here from DC. Well, not DC. I almost said DC. From Dis Insider. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you guys know what I'm saying. Anyways, Mr. Skyler, how you doing, sir? Uh-oh. What happened? Let's try that again. Why is that not working? Uh-oh, we got a blank screen here. Uh-oh, looks like he was here. He must have froze up or something. Yeah, quite an introduction right there. Yeah, because I see him. I see the little box down there, and I could see he might have to log back in. He might have to click the link again. Yeah. So we'll see what's going on. We got some technical difficulties going on right there. Hopefully, am I still good? I should be still good. Yeah, we're still good right here. Still good. There we go. All right, he's back. Let's see. Not banned. Don't do that. Okay, so let's try this again. Skyler,
can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Uh-oh. That's
Why
not
can't
good.
I hear you? I can hear me. I can't hear you.
Interesting.
You look good, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey,
So
that works for. Hey, we could do.
Wait,
let me play around. Give me a second.
Okay. Yeah. Try to check some of the audio stuff.
A novice at the YouTube space.
It happens, man.
Oh, I can hear you through the computer.
Okay, there you go.
Hang on.
Oh, something hooked up to just your
Hang
mic.
on. Your boy's got this.
We're good.
He hoped he has this.
Mm-hmm. It happens. Don't worry. I mean,
Your boy's not 100% good on this.
Just ask the live chat. I've had many.
All right, let's try this again.
Okay.
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Test.
I can. There we go.
We're good now.
I like it. How you been, man?
Cool. Good. How you been?
Hey, not too bad.
Good.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining. And I figured, I mean, it was about time because I know, like, you know, we've kind of we've known each other for a little bit, you know, behind the scenes a little bit, but we never had like full on conversations. I know we're part of like, you know, a little fantasy football thing and whatnot, and so you know, we've it was only a matter of time before I got you on the stream, and then when I found out you were in LA, I'm like, perfect, because you're in LA, right, or close to LA, yeah. Because sometimes when people are back east, it's a little bit like, eesh, you know, because
I know.
Yeah, the 3-hour difference can kind of, you know, can be a little bit of an issue, but
it's brutal. This was like perfect time, 8:00. I was like, oh heck yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
So no, I'm super stoked to actually be on. You know, we have a little fun banter in the the fantasy football realm with all the other writers from
Exactly.
comic book and
You know what's
Screen
funny?
Rant.
What's funny about that is like I always seem to start off pretty well, and then it just I don't know. I dive bomb into just loss after loss after loss. I've noticed since we started doing that.
It was so funny because I thought you had the strongest team. I believe I threw a couple trade offers.
Oh, you did it. Like, so did everybody else.
I was like, man, he's got the greatest team, and it's just
Oh, I know. I would I'd always get like hit up, and then I'd just be like, nah, sorry, nah, yep. Keeping it. And then all of a sudden it was just like either injuries would happen or it wouldn't go my way. I'd be like good for like almost halfway through the season, and then it would just die. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, it happens. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm doing a hard lemonade.
Nice. Nothing wrong with that. Sounds refreshing.
Spiked.
Yeah, there you go.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, man. I mean, it's getting hot. I just saw the temperature tomorrow over here is going to be 95, and I'm like, yay, fantastic. Here comes the heat.
Apparently Tuesday it's going to be like 108.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Like, good old California.
Good Lord. Man, that's no good. So anyways, if you guys want to follow Skyler, just follow him at his name right there. Skyler. How do you say your last name? Shuler, right? Shuler?
Yeah, like the horrible 90s quarterback. I don't know if you knew Heath
Shuler.
Shuler.
Yeah. What was his first name?
It was Heath Shuler. He played for the Redskins, and he was absolutely awful. It was just bad. Don't look him up. It's embarrassing.
Don't look him up. It's yeah. Don't ruin the good name of Shuler. You can follow him on Skyler Shuler on Twitter, and then of course you are editor-in-chief of the Diz Insider. Did I say it right? The Diz Insider. Right. Diz Insider.
It's funny. You're one of the only people I know that have said it right. It's usually the Disney Insider or Dizsider, which is cool. I don't mind.
How long you been working on? Did you actually create it too, or did you just get brought on?
No, it was originally it was just an Instagram account just for fun because I liked posting news on Instagram, and I go to the parks all the time. I've had a pass for 20, 30, almost 30 years, and I would go all the time, and I would just connect with people, tell them, hey, follow this account. And it wasn't called the Diz Insider, it was called Disney Film Facts. It was the dumbest name in the world. But that's what kind of grew it. And one day my best friend Derek was running a comic book website called Comic Boys at the time. And they were looking for writers, and I was like, I went to school for writing and creative writing. I think I could do this. And I ended up loving it. I loved covering movies. I'll take Disney out of the picture. I just loved covering movies. I love movies. I love comics. And I was like, I want to do this on my own. So I kind of created the own website, and it kind of just broke off from there.
Nice.
So it's been a whirlwind, covering this crazy company that's Disney. Love them or hate them, they're good at what they do.
No doubt about that. How long you been on the site now?
We created it in 2013. It's been the Diz Insider since 2017, I believe.
Okay, so you've been at it for a bit.
Yeah, it was just strictly movies, and then I was like, oh my god, now you got Disney Plus and Fox and Hulu and Marvel and Star Wars and the parks and Disney Channel and all sorts of stuff, and it just became a whirlwind. So I brought on a bunch of cool people to help out. Other writers from other sites come on and help out, whether it's from writers from the Direct, and we're friends with all these same people in the same spaces that do these things. Yeah. And it's been a blast. It's super cool. It's become a small little business for us, and I have a blast doing it.
Yeah. Do you do it full time?
I do it full time with my full-time job, which is funny. Which is I work with for a music video company out here in LA. Oh, nice. And so I do that in conjunction with that job. So it's funny that my full-time job is in the music industry when my passion's in like movies and TV. So
nice. Well, that's
it's nuts.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, trying to balance both of that. I mean, I have a full-time job too, and I'm trying to do a daily news show and everything. I mean, it could get pretty hectic, but to run like an entire website that's fairly popular too. I mean, it's gotten up there, and to have writers underneath you and stuff like that, it's got to be, I don't know. Your emails must be going off like crazy a lot of the times, huh?
What's funny is it didn't at first, but over the last year and a half, it has.
Yeah.
and it's, you know, Disney reps emailing me and Marvel reps and Star Wars reps, and then people that want to join, and all these, you know, hey, interview this person. I get my inbox is flooded with people who want me to interview them for the most random things that has nothing to do with Disney. There's someone from Shark Tank. One of their reps emailed me, hey, you want to email or interview Barbara Cochran, one of the Shark Tank people? I'm like, what site do you think I run? I was like, man,
you know what? I mean,
it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened with me too. Like literally, like I've gotten, you know, hey, you should interview so and so. I'm like, but why? Like, I don't even know who that person is. I don't know what I would ask. They're like and then I look at the IMDb. I'm like, okay, they're currently in a show right now on Amazon, and I don't know what I don't know this person. Why do you want, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's happened to me. And then, you know, but then of course you try to get the bigger fish, and you just get turned down. It's like, damn it.
I mean, but look at you. You're interviewing Zack Snyder and his wife and Frank Grillo and Henry Lennox, all sorts of people in this space. It's just awesome. So it's not shocking that someone would reach out to you and say, please interview this person from our Quibi TV show.
Oh, no. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like,
it's funny though.
Yeah. It's just sometimes you do got to just be like, it just, because I always like to keep it where it's like, hey, let's just have a discussion, you know? If I don't know exactly anything, not one real thing about this person, I'm gonna be like, nah, I'm just gonna have to pass on that. But you know, when it comes to somebody like, you know, like, and then when it comes to somebody like say Harry Lennox or whatever, I mean that could be, I mean, I'll be like, this is Harry Lennox we're talking about. This is a theater trained actor who's done so much, and he's just like. Then that's like I have the opposite where I'm like, yes, I want to talk to this guy, but holy shit, what do we talk about? What do I ask him?
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure that's happened with you too. I mean, it's just
Well, it's funny. One of our latest interviews, which is on our YouTube channel, is we interviewed Garner Holt, and he's an animatronic builder. He's done all sorts of things for Universal Studios, Disneyland, Chuck E. Cheese, all just you name it. His animatronics are in there, and I had quite the nerves interviewing this one person on the website. One of my writers, Josh Sharp, he does a lot of these celebrity interviews. So he did Jodie Benson, the voice of Ariel and Barbie and the robot and Flubber. He's done Leonard Maltin. He's done the host of Prop Culture. He's done a couple other interviews with some pretty notable people in the Disney space. And I did that one interview with Garner Holt, who you might not know his name, but you know his work. And even then I was like, oh, the nerves. Like, let me ask you, like, you've interviewed these people. Like, how do you let your nerves settle when doing this? Like, you're interviewing Zack Snyder and now you guys are best buds drinking together. That's crazy.
That's what helps. You know, having a little drinky drink can kind of calm
liquid courage.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to like, okay, so say Harry Lennox, that was like a pre-recorded interview during the day. I mean, yeah, I might have poured a little bit of something and just kind of, you know, I think what happens is like, I mean, when it comes to Zach now, I've gotten so comfortable with Zach now where, I mean, I've talked to him on the phone. It's just
nice.
At first, like when I first interviewed him, I wasn't like that nervous, but of course, you know, I wrote like 2.5 pages worth of questions. And then I'm like, which ones do I ask him? You know, he's not going to be on forever and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, so that was a little nerve wracking, but after a while, it's just like, you know, he's so easy to talk to. I mean, you know, the guy's he's just like one of the guys. Like when he showed up last time, we were having an Army of the Dead discussion. He just showed up and then we just asked him questions and it's just great.
Yeah, I was watching one of your recent interviews with him, and I'm watching, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like these guys have known each other for years. It's astounding how cool, calm, and collected you are. I was just like, man, I need to get to that level. That's crazy.
Yeah, but then sometimes, like say, like when the Justice Con thing happened, and I was gonna interview Joe Manganiello, you know, I go through a process maybe where like an hour before I'll start pacing back and forth down my hallway and just kind of going, okay. Ask this one, go in this order, and I'm just kind of going, okay, and you know, I'll just pace back and forth, and that's when the nerves, you know, are starting to like get there. So I have all this energy So I'll just start pacing back and forth and just kind of with my notepad and just going, and rearranging some of the questions and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then I'm always like, well, is there something that we can, that can connect with this person or something like that, and like, for instance, for Joe Mang, it was like, I knew he was a Metallica fan. I'm also a diehard Metallica fan. So I'm like, all right, fit Metallica somewhere in the beginning, just to hit it off like that, and then maybe we could just calm down. And it was pretty cool because once I did that, it was like, I think it kind of shocked him. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know I was going to get a Metallica question," and it was just like, there it is. So
that's awesome. It kind of humanizes him outside of his entertainment industry, which is really cool.
Yeah, but I mean, sadly though, I mean, he was on his iPad, and apparently the audio on his end was not sounding great. So there was a little bit of like issues where it was like, oh shit. And then I apparently had to stand still because I'm fairly animated sometimes, so I was moving, so I just had to kind of stand still because people behind the scenes were going, I think if you move, maybe that's when the audio goes crazy. So it was it was a little nerve-wracking, but we got through it and ended up being pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think you just build that muscle. You just kind of do it, and after the nerves are never going to go away, which is fine. But I think that you're not going, oh my God. I mean, when I got my first big get was Connie Nielsen, and awesome. I was super nervous about that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, well, technically it was Zach was my big get, but when it came to, he was just so easy to talk to, but when it came to just somebody who I literally was talking to or people and blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that, setting up a time, I had to send over pre questions and all that stuff. With Zach, it was just hit him up, blah, 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 phone call, let's do it. And that was it. It was very easy peasy. Didn't have to go through anybody. But yeah, with Connie, it was it had to go through people and stuff. So that I think it just added another level of oh man, I got to be a little more, I guess, maybe professional. I don't know. It was a whole thing. But she was a sweetheart. And it was funny too, because we pre-recorded it I was at 11 o'clock our time because she's in the UK. And so it was 9 o'clock her time. And then she was like, hey, I got wine. I didn't bring vodka. And I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and pour vodka. So I'm drinking vodka fucking 11 o'clock in the morning. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that helps. So yeah, it's just it's just over time. It just seems like, I've always wanted to be just laid back. Let's just have a discussion. So, you just get used to it. I guess I could say, I don't know, but.
I love it.
Yeah,
we have a couple things lined up that has me shaking. So we'll see how this turns out here in the next month or so.
What do you got? Tom Hiddleston coming on? Huh?
Oh yeah, how'd you know? No, we're lucky enough to do something for Jungle Cruise.
Oh, nice.
Next month. So I don't think I'm allowed to say just yet, but it's one of the big ones, and we have. We have Bob Gurr, who he's an Imagineer who worked directly with Walt Disney in the 50s. He developed the Matterhorn, the monorail. That was his thing. So we have that, and his house is out towards Burbank, and it's decked out with old school, Disney attractions that have been ripped out 50, 60 years ago. He has his own little tiki bar. He wants you to have a nice drink when you're interviewing him. He has his little martini. You have your beer. And so that one should be fun, but we have a couple things lined up, so I'm excited.
That sounds like my kind of guy, man.
Oh, yeah, he's a partier.
Yeah,
he's 89, 90, and he's partying still. I love it.
Still do it. See, I mean, I always say, my only grandpa that's still alive is the one that drank. And I'm like, maybe there's something to this. At least that's what I try to, tell myself.
It's the elixir of life.
Yes. It's long as you don't let it, ruin your life. People can have a kind of a good relationship with the bottle without it really doing so. I mean, I know some people go yeah, David, drink a lot. I'm like, yeah, but am I sitting there going, drooling on myself and falling down while I'm filming stuff? No, I'm good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that'd be my biggest worry is okay.
Yeah.
I want to slur the words and mix up. My biggest fear is, getting sauced up and calling, Bob Gurr Tim or something,
right?
And be like, who? I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I blame the Modelo.
It's not me. I swear to God, it's not what I'm like.
I promise.
Yeah. I mean, there's been times at the end. I mean, sometimes these vodka streams can go, 4 hours or whatever, just depending on discussion. Yeah. Right. At the end, I could be a little slurry Susie a little bit, It does happen. We've had some fun times when it comes to that in there. Some of the other guys, you would get a little tossed, but that's the fun about it.
Yeah.
Though. It's just like we're just having a good time, and we just happen to have cameras on us, and anybody can see us.
Yeah.
But there's been times too. Like I think when I interviewed Samantha Wynn, she was like, I wanted to get a drink, but I was worried that I would end up, something would happen, and I was like, you would have been fine. You would have been fine.
You're gonna just tell me what your next role is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, look at that. Ooh.
Hello.
Nice.
Look
Say
at that.
hello.
Look at that.
Got my own little.
drinks.
Yeah. Let's switch off to the Bloody Mary.
Wow. Look at you. Bloody Mary.
Expect a tip.
Nice.
She expects a tip. I love it. That's nice.
That's
Full
nice.
service.
Tip your
That's
waitress.
wonderful. Yeah. Always.
I like a good Bloody Mary in the morning. That's for damn sure.
Bloody Mary at almost 9 o'clock at night. I'm still okay with it.
No, you're fine. No, it's still a good drink to have. But I think the last time I had a Bloody Mary was I was going up to Oregon for that job at the time, and it just waiting there, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have a Bloody Mary, and man, it was absolutely delicious. It's a good
it's the best.
Good breakfast drink. So, when it comes to stuff that's happening in the Disney world, is there obviously it's kind of going crazy right now with Disney Plus and everything that's coming with that. I mean, Loki just showed up. I take it you've probably seen more than the first episode.
I've seen the first two. I thoroughly enjoyed the second episode. I think the first episode is it's weird with these Marvel shows. I think the Loki had a really solid opening for what it was. I find it. I think we still need to wait 2-3 more episodes until we find out the reason why Loki means so much and why he deserves his own series. I thoroughly enjoyed what the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, what it did. I liked WandaVision at the start, and it kind of fizzled out for me.
Yeah. The Ralph. I'm in the minority there, and I know some people in the Marvel or Disney community will come after me, but that's fine. I'm very. It's so funny when I talk about like Marvel and Disney is like when I talk highly of it, I'm a Disney shill and I get paid by Disney, which I would love. Bob Chapek, my wallet is open. There you go.
But when I am vocal about Disney and some of the things I don't like, it's like, how dare you? You're the Disney guy, and I'm like, oh, I have opinions too, and
I mean, I see how that is. I mean, you it's like you can't be critical because you run a website that strictly Disney and blah blah blah. And it's like, but you still have your own opinions about things. I mean, even when it comes to I'm all about DC and especially the Snyder fandom and stuff like that. But it's like, hey, I could still. It's not like I'm just gonna say like every little thing like, oh, it's a perfect movie or this is great or I'm not going to say stuff like that. I'm still going to give you could get that whole like, how dare you, like, oh, how dare you even support you're hyped for the Flash, how dare you. It's like, I mean, I get it where there's stuff like, I mean, there's some things behind the scenes, it sucks, the situation sucks, but at the same time I just kind of go like, well, I love the Flash and I kind of want to see what the Muschiettis do. There's a lot of things. I mean, it especially being a DC fan.
For sure.
Yeah, it can be a little like a lot of disappointments.
I get it. I'm on that. If I'm sure you've seen, but anyone that follows me on Twitter knows that I think Man of Steel is a crowning achievement in comic book movie history. I love Man of Steel. It's one of my top 10 movies of all time. I find it to be just beautifully shot. A perfect comic book movie, an origin story, a great battle, these great characters, and it's a love story, it's an action movie, and it's like perfectly balanced. And when I go and say that on my Twitter or the Instagram account, it's like, have you seen Avengers Infinity War? And I'm like, yeah, I like Infinity War, but let me enjoy some DC content too. Like it's crazy, and it's so sad because with the whole Snyder cut and restore the Snyderverse, which would be cool. Like I love Man of Steel. I loved the Snyder cut. I thought the Snyder cut was so much fun. I had such a blast with it, and I'm one of those people that if you want to search through my Twitter, I didn't think it was happening ever. Yeah, I'll be the first one to admit it. And
Yeah.
I am glad to have been proven wrong. And it was a blast. So if they restore the Snyderverse or something were to magically happen, I'd be all for it. But at the same time, like, I do like what the Muschiettis do, and I love the Flash. I want to see Michael Keaton back as Batman, and I like Jason Momoa's Aquaman. I like the Wonder Woman movies. You're playing with two swords. You know, which one's sharper?
It can be that double-edged sword a little bit, because I mean, obviously when it came to DC trying to expand their universe, I mean, obviously it was like Snyder was trying to do something, but then again, he was trying to do something different. They, of course, wanted to have something that, hey, see what those guys are doing over there? Which Snyder goes, yeah, and that's great, but we're not going to do that the same thing. It's like, let's do something different. And he pushed back against it. And he very much wanted to just like, hey, I'm going to do this right here. And then we'll set the foundation for every one of these characters, but I'm going to go this trajectory with my Superman story, and then I'm going to end it, and then that's it. And you guys can do whatever. And then, of course, with things that that weren't so great that happened, it just didn't fall that way. But then, of course, it's been great. The fact, I love the fact that you admit that you were like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And you could look at my Twitter. I thought it wasn't, but you're glad you're proven wrong. I think a lot of people were. I don't know how many people, like, just over that weekend and like the coming weeks after it came out, a lot of people were like, I was wrong. I didn't think this was going to be good. Now I'm going to go back and watch Man of Steel and BVS because I think like maybe I get what was trying to be set up. I mean, there's so many things. And I love the fact that people were able to just be like, hey, I was wrong. And guess what? I'm glad I was.
Yeah, no, I'm on that mindset. And you know what's sad is I do have a lot of followers that are on the other end of that, spectrum where they're like, you know what, I'm not a fan of, what Snyder does, which is cool. You all have your opinions. But it's the ones where like, I would say I've always said this, there's two movies that Disney's doing that I would love Zack Snyder to tackle. The first one is Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think he would put something cool on the gargoyles. Definitely. And the same thing with Night on Bald Mountain, which they're revisiting. Which is Chernabog. He's the big devil-looking character in Fantasia. Yeah. I was like, man, Zack Snyder would be awesome to direct those like wickedly dark Disney movies. And, you get those people like, no, he ruined this. I'm like, he didn't ruin anything, really. In fact, someone ruined it for him. And I'm just, it's sad to see. And I usually tell my followers, like, listen, I enjoy Man of Steel. I think he could do good with Disney. I think he would do good with Warner Brothers, Netflix, wherever he's going next. I'm not 100% sure, but it's sad to see it, and it's hard, and especially in this space we're in. You have a great following. I have a good following, and we see both sides, and sometimes it's so hard to to kind of walk that line. Yeah,
it can be because there'll be times where I loved Infinity War. Hated Ragnarok, just stuff like that where I'm like, I just was not a fan of Ragnarok, and I've gotten a pushback on that. I'm like, hey, I always say this too, and then I've even like when it comes to Thor: Love and Thunder that's coming out, and I hear like, oh yeah, you're going to be even more gags and this, that, and this, and I kind of go, it's just okay, it's not for me, but at the same time, I always go, I see the business sense of it because the first two Thor movies were probably Thor is the weakest character, and even though it's like strongest, business.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's funny now that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is aging. I don't really think you're all that in the minority with Thor Ragnarok. I see even on the Diz Insider when we're talking Thor: Love and Thunder, it's become like, hopefully it's not too jokey, and I can understand it.
Yeah,
Taika has these weird sensibilities to him, but I can see where people are, okay, Melissa McCarthy is Hela. We get where this is what he's trying to do here. And, I don't think you're alone in that thought at all. No. It's crazy how much people have turned on Thor Ragnarok. I don't personally mind it, but totally understand it's super campy. For sure.
Yeah, and like I said, as a business sense, it made, a crap ton of money and stuff like that. And it was like, it seemed like it reinvigorated the character into the mainstream. And I was like, okay, fine. That's totally fine. I, watched it twice. I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again, just because, some great visuals. I'll give it that. Taika Waititi. I mean, he's made some good films. I thought Jojo Rabbit was excellent. When I watched that, I was like, there you go. I mean, this guy is a good filmmaker. But and then when it comes to what's going to happen in Thor: Love and Thunder, I mean, I'm curious to see what they do with Jane and Natalie Portman. I mean, we saw some of those set photos, and it's like, wow, she did put in the work. Looks like she developed some arms, some shoulders. I'm like, that's going to be interesting. But then when I hear stuff like, oh yeah, there's even more gags, I'm like, oh god.
I'm just, I'm hoping that something, the newcomers kind of save this movie. Christian Bale. I'd like to see what, as Gore the God Butcher. What's Russell Crowe gonna do? Oh man, him in Man of Steel. Man. I can go all day about Man of Steel, but him and I'm curious to see if he's the the joke Zeus character, or does he rain terror upon Gore and his army, or whatever this movie is going to be. So, well, we'll see. But you're not alone though in this universe with Thor. It's crazy.
I know. I mean, it's just funny because I think the first Thor movie was great. Kenneth Branagh. I mean, I thought he did a great job with it. I mean, I went back and watched that after watching Thor Ragnarok, and I'm like, I appreciated it more actually. And I'm like, this is actually a pretty damn good movie. But I can see why he's, you got Captain America, of course, and you got Iron Man, which, I mean, he started the whole thing. So you kind of go like, anytime they make a sequel of those, everybody's like, can't wait to see what's happening. And then when it came to Thor, it's like when the Dark World came out, it was pretty lackluster. It had some issues, it wasn't.
You're being really nice about Thor: The Dark World. You're being
real
nice.
I tend to be. I try to find the kind of good, but I think the only thing I really kind of dug was when they were having their end fight scene and they were jumping back and forth, and I kind of like that. But at the same time,
the portals, and he's throwing the hammer through one portal and it's coming out another.
Yeah, I thought some of that was kind of cool, a little creative, but at the same time, just a lot of the things that led up to it. There was some definite issues with that one.
Oh, for sure.
Jeez. But at the same time, it's like, even with Iron Man, I mean, Iron Man 2 is, but I'm one of those that likes Iron Man 3. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm kind of in the middle with Iron Man 3. We're doing a new podcast called the Disney Catalog, and right now we're going through all the Marvel movies, and I feel about Iron Man 3 the same way I do the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I'm not, I'm kind of indifferent. I'm like right in the sweet spot. It's like, I can appreciate some of the things Iron Man 3 does, but I can also see why it's not the strongest in the MCU. There's some things I like about it for sure.
I think what I like Shane Black, and I like I like his dialogue. So I saw that's what he was trying to do, in my opinion. Right. He was trying to, put that really witty back and forth Shane Black dialogue between Tony and the kid. And, maybe some people, just didn't really gel with people because, a lot of the movie, he's not in his suit. It's only Tony, which I kind of dug, so I think that's why I kind of, I'm not, a lot of people absolutely hate that movie, probably even more than the second one. And I'm like, the second one.
Oh man, I don't know about that. I do think you're right. I do think the banter between the kid and Robert Downey Jr. is one of the strongest part, next to them attempting to kind of break down the psychosis of, Tony Stark after the events of Avengers, which I thought was kind of cool, like dealing with, depression and PTSD. I thought that was kind of interesing too. So I think those.
It's I mean, when it comes to for the most part, when it comes to the MCU, they're not everything is like a home run in my eyes. I mean, even though I like Black Panther was something great and fantastic, for some reason, it's just not one of those movies. When I think of if I'm going to watch an MCU movie, it's not the first one I go for because I think it was still in line of it was still kind of clean. And that final act, they wonked that thing up, man. I don't know what happened there because those visual effects are fucking horrible.
It was sad because they were really good at the beginning.
Yes.
And it's like Ryan Coogler said, oh my God, we lost all the damn budget in the first half of this movie.
Well, no, I think what happened
crazy.
From what I heard from a VFX artist is, they weren't happy with the final act, so they were like, we got to change this, we got to add more action. So all those visual effects were very last minute. That's why that fight scene, the lighting looked bad, the both the characters looked rubbery as all hell. I mean, it looked worse than fucking Spider-Man 2002 at some point, man. I don't
know, it might have even been better, to be honest. Spider-Man might have been better.
Oh, I think it was. Yeah, some of the visuals did look better.
It looked almost very, it looked like some animated stuff you'd see in What If, Yes.
Oh,
I was just like, what are you doing?
Okay, speaking of What If, when the hell is that coming out? Do you know? I mean, can you say anything?
I was always told by someone it was the second week of August, and then this rumor came out that it was August 6th, and then we got this email from Disney, and they were like, no, you need to take that back. It's not August 6th. And then I'm hearing from other people that it is in fact August 6th, and they just didn't want that stuff out. Wow. But it's finished. Apparently they're working on the last few episodes of season 2, which comes out next year.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
When they announced that, I went, okay, that is on the top of the list. When they were announcing their whole slate for, Disney Plus, I was going, what if? That intrigues me because that sounds really cool. Kind of like a multiverse kind of thing where it's like, what if this happened? And I'm like, I'm all about that. But then it was like, okay, are we going to get a date? Are we going to get anything? Feed it? Something?
Yeah, they've done a trailer.
Yeah.
A very quick trailer. And then no like real good poster, which is something they usually do. It's usually like, all right, and I don't know why they do this, but Disney's all about the 6 a.m. trailers, which I hate.
Fucking A, dude. I'm the same way.
I get you need to please, Good Morning America in New York, but like LA is one of the biggest movie-going audiences in the world.
I know.
Let us wake up first.
What's wrong with noon? Noon Eastern time?
Thank you. Yeah.
No, I'm with
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. We'll have our Bloody Marys and we'll watch the new
trailer. Exactly. That's what I'm all about right there. No.
But it's definitely in August. It's in the first 2 weeks for sure. I just don't know the exact date. I've talked to too many people who have told me 2 different dates to where I don't believe it's the first 2 weeks of August.
Yeah, that's gonna be see, I'm really looking for it. I mean, I'm like, even just like another trailer like that. And like you said, posters. The posters are if anything, the posters should be awesome because these are like crazy stories of like, what if this, that, or this. And we hear, even like when we hear rumors of like a certain story or something like that, I'm like, yeah, the posters those will like hype people up like crazy.
Yeah, and the rumors are coming out like crazy right now for What If and the story. I'm staying away just because I want to go into it with a clean slate. Even though you kind of have an idea of what these are from the trailer, Chadwick Boseman's final performances as like a Star-Lord, or Peggy Carter is going to be Captain Britain or whatever she's going to be. But if that poster is not Marvel zombies, Avenger zombies, or whatever they call it, I will be real pissed.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Give me a zombified Captain America with like Bucky pointing a gun at his head.
Oh man.
I think that'd be so glorious.
And but then it's going to end up just being a poster where you got the whole cast up in that same template that they seem to.
And then they it's like a blooming onion. They like put them all around.
Somebody's doing something like this or something like that. I'm like, man, can you just do something a little bit different?
If there's one thing worse than Thor Ragnarok, it's the Thor Ragnarok poster.
Yes, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I mean that's just, and one of the things too, like another gripe too. I mean, like I get that the formula was working, but it's like, okay, but the Infinity Saga is done now. Now it's time to just like, hey, and I'm appreciating them branching off and continuing. I love the fact, I mean, when you like going back to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think one of the things I really appreciated about it was like, well, they're continuing on. It's not like they're going, hey, when are we going to reboot Captain America? It's like, no, they're going to go forward, and now Sam is going to be Captain America. And I was like, that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. But I think like when it comes to just like some of the, like you said, the poster template, change it up a little bit, please. And then even like when they release a trailer, it just always seems like it's like, oh, we got this cool trailer, show something spectacular, show the title, and then all of a sudden they have to be like characters are sitting down at a dinner or something like that. And I'm
I agree. There's a quick quip. I get. It's like, okay, we know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I want to see these like like for instance Eternals. I want to see Eternals. I find it, these are characters I don't know, and their powers sound cool. Like Shang-Chi sounds kind of cool. I'm a sucker for kung fu movies, so I like new things. I don't want to see like those crazy. Everyone's like, oh, are they going to bring Robert Downey Jr. back? Like, can he stay dead? God. Can we not revive these characters? Like, let Robert Downey Jr. stay dead. Let Steve Rogers retire or whatever he is. Let these characters retire. And they've done this for 10, 15 years. Let them go away and tell new stories. It'll be interesting because speaking of Spider-Man behind you, it's like with all the confirmed reports and rumors out there, it's like I'm kind of intrigued. Like I want to see these things. I want to see how they do it. It's the same thing with the Flash. I want to see Michael Keaton come back as Batman. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm
with you on that. I'm with you on that. Like when it came to Spider-Man Far From Home, I didn't like it as much as I liked. I mean, it's weird. I have when it comes to Far From Home, the first like 30, 40 minutes, I'm like, oh man. Anytime I watch it, I kind of struggle through it just because of, I don't know, just the high school stuff and the field trip. It's just kind of, but then when it gets into the action and then and then when we find out, which we all knew that obviously Mysterio was going to be, a bad guy. We knew that. But once that happens and the final act, strong, like when he's doing the illusion stuff, that's some really great Spider-Man cinematic shit that happens in that movie that I really can appreciate. And then I really loved, bringing back, J. Jonah Jameson, bringing back J.K. Simmons. I thought that was perfect. I'm like, yes, please. Because it seemed like, okay, now, Tony's gone. We can now finally move on. Peter can now be in his own dude. Oh, wait, he's going to be wanted. He's a wanted guy now. Well,
exactly.
You've intrigued me already. And then all of a sudden they're talking about, hey, we're going to expand the Spideyverse. And I'm going, well, even better. Now you might be bringing this guy back. You might be bringing Garfield back. You're bringing other villains back. And then this is after Into the Spideyverse came out, which I think is phenomenal. I mean, that was
Spideyverse.
That right there. And I'm just kind of going, okay, you have something here. And I really I'm like begging, Disney, Marvel Studios, just lean into your Spideyverse right now because you did the Infinity Saga. That was awesome. You wrapped it up. Everything's good. Lean into your Spider-Man now, please. I know there's the Sony thing, but just lean into that world as much as you can, I think.
Sony's biggest mistake, if this were to happen, their biggest mistake would be, you know what, let's pull Tom Holland's Spider-Man out now, his contract in all his movies, let's just say, we're done, we're pulling out. The biggest mistake they could make is putting him in the Morbius Venom universe, in my opinion. No one wants to see a Jared Leto Morbius film. Jared Leto, love him or hate him, he's a very good character actor, but Morbius?
Yeah.
Like, oh my.
I'm intrigued by it because I'm like curious about the character and I'm like, okay, let's see where they go with it. But I mean, it's just what's weird about it is we got that first trailer. What else? There hasn't really been anything else that really came about, and when it comes to Venom, love Tom Hardy. And when it comes to the first Venom, I have issues with it. Like I like, there's things I love about it. I mean, obviously Tom Hardy is like one of my favorite actors working today. Yeah, but there's a lot of, and then when the second trailer came out and it started off with like the kitchen and the singing, and I was like, I don't know. I'm like, it's just a little too goofy when it's supposed to be Carnage, but at the same time I get it because I know the character, he's dealing with I get it, but it's just at the same time I was kind of like, man, I'm hoping it's not going to be too jokey.
My problem with Venom is I saw a different version of Venom done much better by a Tom Hardy lookalike, and that's Upgrade.
Oh, fuck. There it is.
I thought Upgrade was a masterpiece. Right, I love him. I'm like, man, this is Venom. I don't need to see Venom. This is Venom. Yes. It's robotic Venom.
It is kind of funny. It's like, how has there not been like a movie where those two have not been cast as like brothers? They could be fucking twin brothers too.
It's insane. It's crazy. I'm praying to God that Andy Serkis, does something special. I didn't like the trailer for Let There Be Carnage though.
I was not that great with it either. I mean, I honestly was a little underwhelmed. And it's just it. And I was really going, okay, what is Andy Serkis going to give us? I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, he's the king of mocap. Maybe he'll give us something darker, this is Carnage. It's Woody Harrelson. I love Woody Harrelson. Yeah. I'm so glad they got rid of that, that carrot top wig that they had.
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah. I was like, it's a little bit much. I mean, anytime that Woody Harrelson's wearing a wig, it's easy to spot, obviously, because we know it. But that's the thing. He's one of those guys that can rock the bald look. But so when he was wearing something, it kind of throws you off. And that thing was just, whoa. I mean, it was getting to Sideshow Bob level almost.
It was.
So I'm glad that they tamed that whole thing down. But yeah, I like the design. Carnage looks cool. I'm sure there's going to be some interesting stuff with that, but at the same time, it's just, underwhelmed, man. But yeah,
it's a weird universe. Like how do I describe this? It's when you think that, Sony's doing a Venom movie, if someone were to say, hey, Skyler, this is before the Tom Hardy Venom, if they were to walk up, hey, Skyler, they're doing a Venom movie. I'm like, awesome. Is he fighting Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no. It's just Venom. And he's fighting a character named Riot. And then I'm like, who's Riot? And then they're like, okay, the character Carnage. And I'm like, yeah, kind of from from Marvel versus Capcom. And briefly in the animated series, they're like, yeah, him, except he's silver and not red. I'm like, okay, you lost me. I'm just,
it's just, there's some symbiotes that, there's just different ones. That's all. Just that.
Yeah. They just all look alike.
Exactly. I know. I think that was one of the things that a lot of the gripes about the first Venom was the fact that it's like, well, doesn't he need Spider-Man to kind of get going? I mean, that's like his origins. There's been other variations, of course, when it comes to the source material. But I mean, initially, obviously they tried that once with Spider-Man 3, and it kind of well, we could talk about that. I mean, that's one thing about Spider-Man 3 is like, man, I mean, I think even Sam Raimi even talked about that too. Is like he didn't initially want Venom, but they were like, "Hey, we got to have something." Like they kind of forced them into it, and you could see it because I thought the Sandman arc was great. I thought that was
Thomas Hayden Church was an awesome Sandman, and if the rumors are true that he's coming back, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm super excited to see these weaker Spider-Man characters kind of get a redemption if this all ends up being true from what these are just rumors. They're out there. They're nothing, I don't know anything regarding this, but if Rhino is indeed returning,
oh man,
Electro, I'm cool kind of giving them a redemption if it's a multiverse. Like this is your redo and it's your first attempt at doing Sinister Six. And they've been wanting to do Sinister Six for years. We remember when
they were trying to set it up with
Drew Goddard was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So,
and you saw the pieces getting played, but at the same time too, it's like you just got to wonder. I mean, we always talk about studio interference and studio involvement, where they just kind of like, no, you got to do it. And it almost seems like what was it? His name was Mark Webb, who did the Andrew Garfield ones,
the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. And it's like you kind of, I mean, he did to reboot, something that's phenomenal as, the first franchise was, because I mean, that and X-Men were like really just kind of set the table when it comes to like where we are now, when it comes to CBMs, especially this, because I mean, having somebody walking up the walls and, web slinging and shit like that. I mean, that was just, I mean, we saw, then when they try to attempt it way back when, I mean,
he's like, I got this. And you see like a wire.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and I know there's been other attempts at it too. I know James Cameron at one point wanted to do a Spider-Man film, and it was always
Leo, I thought.
Yeah, with Leo. Yeah, it was always on the table, and then they finally, Sam Raimi just took it and it's awesome that he's back doing this shit now with Doctor Strange 2, which I'm really looking forward to. I liked the first Doctor Strange a lot, actually. I think that's like a really strong origin story when it comes to the MCU. The first Doctor Strange, it's run by the numbers, it has a similar formula, but at the same time, I like Cumberbatch, and I really loved him in Infinity War. I thought he was like,
he was a standout.
Yeah.
I like when it doesn't even have to be Marvel. It can be, any studio, but I like when studios take these characters that you just can't imagine being taken from the comic book page onto the big screen, because those Doctor Strange, like if you can think like, okay, what are Doctor Strange's powers? It's cosmic abilities and opening portals and doing all sorts of weird stuff, wizard stuff. And you're just like, okay, how do you do that in the comic book and bring it to the screen? And that, especially in Infinity War, you kind of saw how they did do it. And I mean, if, Michael Waldron, who wrote Loki and is, signed that overall deal with Disney, he wrote Multiverse of Madness, and he's already doing that multiverse stuff on Rick and Morty. I don't watch Rick and Morty, so I can't give you is it good?
Oh, it's so great. Yeah.
And Solar Opposites, everyone's like, go watch them both. Justin Roiland and Michael Waldron, they're masters. I'm super stoked, which kind of gets me stoked for Loki, because they're already teasing the multiverse. They're already teasing all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So whether you loved or hated Loki, I enjoyed Loki. I wouldn't say I love it, but I'm more intrigued by what that one guy is creating moving forward, leading into Doctor Strange. So it's a crazy thing.
It really is. I mean, it is cool, like, that both, I mean, obviously there's always like the back and forth when it's like DC Marvel, but I love the fact that it's like, okay, yeah, let's go into the multiverse now. I mean, obviously we, when it came to, like I said, the Infinity Saga is done. Now we got multiverse, and then you got your Spideyverse, which also works within that. It's like, yeah, just lean into that. That seems to be like the next thing to do. And same with the Flash. It's like, I mean, obviously there's I'm excited to see Michael Keaton back too, because, I'm not going to lie that I'm not. I'm kind of curious to see what they do with like maybe the Flashpoint story. I mean, I know there's like the I don't think it's not going to be full on Flashpoint, obviously, which I'm actually glad for that. I'm glad it's like, oh, it's going to be inspired. There's going to be little inklings of Flashpoint that are going to be in there, which I think should always be the case. It's like, if you're going to do a full on adaptation, fine, full on do it. Knock yourself out. But I love the fact that, like that's what Zach was doing when it came to like BVS was like, it's part Dark Knight Returns, it's part Death of Superman. I mean, there's so many elements that he's just like taking from there. And you could see a little bit of that too in Justice League. And so I'm glad that, that now everywhere, both sides are kind of like, let's delve into the multiverse and see what we could do with this. And, Doctor Strange, like I said, he's been pretty damn strong because he's only been in, 2 movies, right?
Yeah, 2.5 if you count Endgame.
Oh, yeah, true. But, yeah.
But you didn't get a lot of Doctor Strange. You got 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah. So, but I'm liking the fact that it's like, all right, now maybe, if it's this whole thing's going to start with him, even though technically you could probably say it started with WandaVision. It's supposed to lead into, I don't know. WandaVision is such a weird thing because, like you said, it started off strong and then it just kind of fell flat on its face. That Ralph Boner thing really pissed me off.
Yeah, it was. You open the door to the multiverse. The problem is I don't even think it was necessarily the series itself. It was the creatives behind the series doing these interviews going, you know what? There's going to be that big, surprise cameo. Yeah, it's me. It's Paul Bettany's. It's me. Yeah. And then you open the door in episode, 3? And you see Evan Peters. And obviously everyone's first thought is he's not Pietro. He must be Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, the other horrible X-Men movies, Quicksilver. And, this is why WandaVision leads into Doctor Strange and why they connect. And then all of a sudden, you're right. It's Boner. I'm like,
it turns into a dick joke. I mean, yeah, because like I said, when she opened up the door and he was there, I mean, everybody flipped out. I mean, everybody was talking about it. It was kind of like a jaw-dropping moment. They're like, oh, they're doing it. They're finally going to be bringing in the mutants. We were waiting. We were wondering, like, how are they going to, like, incorporate? What are they going to do when it comes to mutants? Are they going to bring some people over? Are they going to – what exactly are they going to do? And when we saw that, I think everybody was like, oh, this is the first step. We're finally, the door's opening up, and then it just turns into a dick joke. It's like, oh, good Lord.
That's so sad. And what's even more sad is Evan Peters is a great Quicksilver.
Yes.
And you hopefully they fix it somehow if that's the case and they want to use him again. Like, why would you sign Evan Peters on to appear for like 15 minutes on screen for 3 episodes of a Disney Plus series? It doesn't make sense to me, only to be Ralph Boner. It's just, this kid who was possessed by Agatha. Multiverse of Madness is your perfect way to at least tease these mutants if that's what you're going to do. It's hard to say. Maybe they get teased in Loki for all I know. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of curious to see where they take that because, I mean, like I said, the first episode, and we could talk about it a little more. I mean, it's been out for a few days and hopefully. Yeah. But, I mean, it does kind of just let you know, like, hey, there's this whole world that has not been explored yet. That is like the time. What is it? The time variance. What is it?
Association. Time. Authority.
Authority. There you go. And I dig it. And I like Owen Wilson's character. I love the fact that, it's Owen Wilson.
He's my favorite part of the show.
Yeah. I love how he's like, he's just he's trying to be optimistic about this whole thing. And, he's absolutely great. And especially when the scenes with him and Tom Hiddleston are absolutely fantastic. And this whole different world that we don't really know of yet. And I know some people are going like, well, they reduced the Infinity Stones to like nothing. They're literally like in the drawer because they mean nothing in this world. And I'm like, because of the time and everything, I'm like that. I'm like, yeah, but all that's done. I mean, we got past Infinity Stones. They served their purpose. Right. I didn't really find issue with it. I found it kind of funny, to be honest. I was like, they're done. They served their purpose. We already got the Thanos thing. I mean, maybe later on something will happen, but right now, yeah.
Right. They're paperweights. We don't know anymore. If you're trying to do the multiverse, these could be maybe not Infinity Stones. We don't know. That is kind of besides the point to me on that kind of stuff. And so I agree with you. Anyone complaining about that is, they're done. We 23, 24 movies and then one big culmination of the Infinity Stones coming together. Okay, let them be in the drawer in this time space. Like that's what's crazy to me. I like Owen Wilson. I like Tom Hiddleston. I like what they're doing. I like their kind of banter. I like them trying to humanize Loki because this isn't the Loki that turned good in Thor Ragnarok and briefly in Infinity War. This is the evil Loki who was trying to take over the world. So they're trying to humanize him again and make him be the good guy. And which I like. I think Tom Hiddleston as Loki has been great. I think if you could take anything away from the Thor movies is he's put everything he can into Loki. What I see being kind of not a problem is what are you trying to do with Loki as a character? Like, okay, are you trying to make him a hero? Are you trying to make him an anti-hero? There's teases now of the other Lokis, which we knew. That there was reports that these actors that are joining the project, Loki is, different versions of the character. My biggest gripe is in the beginning when we first see Owen Wilson and he sees that little girl in the church and she points up to the pane, the glass pane. Yes. And we all know what the joke's going to be moving forward. Yeah. Who's doing Mephisto. This? It's Mephisto. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, good job. And there's so many rumors as to who the villain is. Is it Kang? There's reports that Kang's in this. Is it Loki? It's
like one of the time guys. He's like right in the middle, isn't he? He's one of those guys. I thought he was.
Is that? I mean, it could be. So. I don't know. I don't know the Loki Asgard time variant world.
Yeah, no, but I think like when
you could be right.
The little backstory when it's talking about those, the Watchers, whatever the heck they're called. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with it either. But I think one of them is actually Kang. He's like right. I think he's like the middle one or something like that. So that's awesome. They're already teasing him. And then apparently too, like there's a part where when a door opens and somebody's like ushering somebody in, it's Peggy. I don't know, like if that.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
If you watch
I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, there's a part where where he's kind of trying to escape, and a doorway opens, and then somebody, one of those time cops, is with a lady, and if you zoom in, looks like Peggy. It's like,
oh, no kidding! Now I gotta go back. I can't believe I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, so.
I mean, that's kind of cool if, you know, there's, you know, maybe they brought her from when, you know, Steve Rogers died, and that, you know, that's kind of a nod to that. I mean, that would be kind of cool, because I think they did her pretty bad. The Peggy Carter character is supposed to be a really cool super agent spy character, like Winter Soldier status. So it's they tried with the show,
but it didn't quite pan out. Yeah, I know. I mean, there's
nothing from ABC did. Yeah, I don't think. I'm not an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. guy.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. Like I know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is it still on? I don't even know.
I think it's over. I think people will come after me. They're gonna be like, "You're the Disney guy.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything about this universe.
How dare you not like the Inhumans?" I'm like, ugh.
Oh God. I mean, I don't think anybody liked the Inhumans.
No.
Ugh. I mean, they tried, and it was just kind of like, what is this? And I still remember too, like when they tried to release like the first episode out in like IMAX or something like that. Didn't they try to do that?
Oh yeah, they put it in theaters in front of something. I was and they did. It was sad because I don't know these characters' names, but the main one with the long hair, the long red hair, the budget became so much that she went from having long hair to like basically no hair. And then everyone's like, "Oh, but the dog," and I'm like, "The dog," and the dog just looked so out of place. Like it's when you watch like Dr. Dolittle with Eddie Murphy, and you could just tell the big bear character is being CGI'd in the mouth, and you're just like, "Oh, that's what this dog character is." The ABC, don't get me started on the ABC Marvel shows.
I kind of want you to. No, I know.
Garbage.
I get it. No, I mean, it's just, it's just, I mean, there's been some missteps when it comes to, and I never got into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I always thought it was weird. I was like, wait, I thought Coulson died. What happened with that? And then, of course, they explain it. But then it was like, I mean, I guess nobody freaking stays dead in these movies, which, you know, that's just the way it is.
That's the Marvel running joke.
Yeah, nobody stays dead.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully, like anytime, and I always get sick of like anytime that Robert Downey Jr. is like interviewing something, they always ask him like, "Hey, you gonna come back?" And it's just like, stop, please stop. And you know, and I even beg like Robert Downey, like, no, just I mean, maybe if there's something that like 10 years down the road, maybe something, but just let it be right now. You know, let somebody else take over. You know, as the lead guy, I guess you could say, because. You know, it would just seem like it would just be like such a waste because he's literally sacrificed himself to save the world.
Yeah. I feel bad for Robert Downey Jr. It's like I'm in the mindset like let his character stay dead, let him focus on other characters. You're trying to, you know, James Rhodes, Ironheart, all these other characters, Spider-Man, whatever character you think is connected to Robert Downey Jr. But the first time his contract ended with Marvel in like, was it like 2014? And then he went and did The Judge, and that was like that bombed. Yeah. And then he signed a new contract like months later. And then his character dies, and then his next movie is the completely awful poopy Doolittle movie. And I'm just like, oh no. Yeah, not my guy, Robert Downey Jr. Now he has to go. He's like, what franchise will rejuvenate my career? And now it's Sherlock Holmes, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like the Sherlock Holmes movies were good. It's like, hey, okay, where's that third one? But I don't know. It seems like I know they've announced it and everything, but
yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, I'm like, if it's not Guy Ritchie, I don't know.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not the biggest Guy Ritchie. I'm not going to say fan, but I'm not the audience for Guy Ritchie. However, I thoroughly enjoyed, I thought his Aladdin wasn't awful. It was okay.
No,
I didn't think it was
going to be.
It was much better than it should have been. Mm-hmm. And I maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know. But I loved his one with Charlie Hunnam and Colin Farrell.
Oh yeah, the gentleman.
I loved The Gentleman, and
great.
That's usually not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. No, he's I mean, that was Guy Ritchie back to form, because you know he did King Arthur, you know, big studio movie, you know, for Warner Brothers, and you know I think they kind of cheesed it up a little. I think they kind of interfered a little bit with that. It seems like it, because that movie's not awful at all. I mean, there's definitely some good stuff right there, but I think I don't know. It just seemed like there's some things in there that I kind of went. It just seems like they wanted something. Oh, you got to have something huge when he was trying to do maybe something different. I don't know. And then when it came to Aladdin, I thought it was going to be a shit show. just watching clips and the trailer. So I went in with the lowest expectations, and I ended up going, hey, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Will Smith actually did a good job as a genie, and that was some big fucking shoes to fill, coming off Robin Williams. I mean, obviously when and I thought it was like, okay. And then there were some Guy Ritchie-isms in there, and I thought there was some good stuff that he put in there. But I love the fact that right after that, it was like, all right, he's going to do now a simple movie that's all about the characters and the story, and it's going to be him. And I was like, and that's why I really enjoyed The Gentleman. I don't know if you saw Wrath of Man that came out.
I was going to ask you, was that, I'm a huge Jason Statham fan. Is that good?
It's good. It's not, I mean, I was hoping it'd be a little bit better, but at the same time, I was like, you know what? It's still, I could totally see myself like when I watch it again, which I plan on, and just being like, okay, now I know where it goes. It's super enjoyable. But I mean, at the same time, I was like kind of going, oh, is it gonna, where's it gonna go? Is it gonna be a very twisty? Is it not gonna be twisty? And I mean, I won't spoil anything or anything like that, but it's pretty enjoyable. And I mean, Jason Statham, like you said,
I'm gonna have to check that out, because one of my guilty pleasure types of movies are those, my daughter died or they've kidnapped my family and I'm going to save them and kill everyone that's in my way, like Liam Neeson Taken, or not Death Wish as an example, but Death Wish as an example, because we all know how that did. But Wrath of Man looks like my cup of tea for sure. So
I mean, have
to check that out.
It's definitely not like it's a little more relaxed than like, I'm just going to kill everybody in my, because he's trying to infiltrate, I guess you could say, and trying to figure things out. So, it's not going to be like full on but when it does kick into gear like that, I mean, especially, obviously the final act, it really, it of course gets to those moments. There's a couple of things where I was kind of like, but I don't know, but at the same time, still a super enjoyable film. And, I think, I mean, I always like Guy Ritchie's like early stuff when it came to like the British, like gangster kind of movies or whatever, like your Lock, Stock, your Snatch is my favorite movie of his. I don't know if you've seen Snatch with Brad Pitt.
I hadn't. Everyone's going to come out. I have not seen Snatch, but everyone talks so highly of it. It's just British gangster movies just have never. And maybe it's because I've just never gone in and seen them, because I love everyone that's a part of those films, like for sure. It's just, I don't know. They just do not grab me. Maybe I'll have to catch up on it, and I'll have to let you know how it is when I see it.
Yeah. Snatch is definitely going. I mean, Lock, Stock was like kind of like the one that kind of put him on the board. Not as strong, but Snatch, I mean, I don't know. It's just a movie I can quote for days. Me and my friends have quoted for days. And it's just a movie I've seen just so many times. It's just super enjoyable and funny. And yeah, I mean, like, it's not for everybody, because like I said, it's got that British sarcastic humor or whatever. But I mean, there's so many good lines in there, and I don't know. That's just, so when I heard that Guy Ritchie was going back to like a story like that had, just very character driven. And that's why Colin Farrell, I mean, he's always got, when it comes to those movies, he's always got that character that just stands out. And Colin Farrell just totally stood out when it came to The Gentleman, and just like the way he talked and the expressions on his face. And I mean, I constantly use that gif of him just like, nodding like a crazy person. I mean, like I always use that when like, for something that, in any situation on Twitter. I just love that. Just this look on his face, because he's all just like wide eyed and just like, like that. Colin Farrell, love Colin Farrell.
I think he's made the best use of Charlie Hunnam outside of Sons of Anarchy in anything. Like, I like Pacific Rim, but I don't like Pacific Rim because of Charlie Hunnam, and I like Crimson Peak, but I don't like it because of Charlie Hunnam. And something about, I didn't think he was awful in King Arthur. I think he did what he had to do in King Arthur. It was interesting. But I really enjoyed him in The Gentleman.
Yeah, no, he was great. I mean, him and Hugh Grant going back and forth when they were talking. I mean, it all, and the way that whole story unfolded was fantastic. And I only saw it once too. I need to watch it again.
Oh, didn't he do Man from Uncle?
Oh yeah, no.
Huh.
Was that Guy Ritchie? What the fuck? I'm like drawing a blank. Was that Guy Ritchie? Now I got to look it up. I can't remember.
I like Man from Uncle, or maybe I'm just thinking Hugh Grant, and I'm crossing paths. But I like Man from Uncle if that's Guy Ritchie. If it's not Guy Ritchie, ignore that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like totally drawing a blank. Is that Guy Ritchie?
I could swear it was Guy Ritchie.
I think it might have been. Yeah, I think it was. Now that I think about it, wait, somebody in the chat, I know
help us out.
Somebody, I know I can always look to the chat to help. Because I'm totally like forget. And sadly, it was Guy Ritchie. Okay, there you go. Thank you, average gamer. Appreciate it. I've totally drew a blank. Yes, that's another movie too. That Rock and Roll. Yeah, somebody brought that up too. That was with Leonidas and 300. What's his name? Gerard Butler. Butler, good movie too. Yeah, but Man from Uncle. Yeah, that's a sleeper hit because like it really didn't do much, but at the same time, it did. I mean, it kind of and it sucks too. And I feel bad. And I almost think like the reason why Cavill now, when you see him in other movies, he tries not to look as Superman as possible because, I mean, let's face it, when you watch Man from Uncle, it's like, he's great. Everything's, the movie's great, but you're seeing Superman in a suit, because he's still got the black hair, and it's like it is. But even though he doesn't have like the same, he's very, witty and sarcastic and stuff like that. But you're seeing that. And I almost want to believe like, that's why when you watch like other stuff that Cavill's in, it's like, he's got a mustache, he's got facial hair, he's got long hair. It's like, you almost have that. The bad part about being Superman is now when you're in something, people go, I see Superman. I mean, even like in Enola Holmes, his hair is very more curly and like maybe a little lightened. It's like, it's almost like he has to now have like a different look. He can't just have like the dark black hair that Superman has, and it can't be slick because I think a lot of people just go, Superman in a suit. Even though Man from Uncle is good, we're not going to get a sequel now because
thanks, Army Hammer. Yeah, thanks, bud.
Yeah, thanks for being a psycho. Apparently,
right.
Thank you for having a weird kind of fetish there, bud. We were kind of all hoping for like, we were, fingers crossed. And that sucks too, because I think when Guy Ritchie was on Joe Rogan actually, and he talked about that, and he just goes like, I wanted to do it, and it didn't strike a chord in with the public, and it's like it sucks because it is a good movie. It really is a good movie. Yeah. And sadly, I mean that's the bad part about it is, it didn't bring in the bucks that they were hoping, but. I don't know.
But it's sad because you see some of these movies that probably shouldn't have gotten a sequel. Big example, Pacific Rim. And then
Pacific Rim should have gotten a sequel, but not. Should have been Del Toro. Should have been Del Toro. If anything.
Yes. Poor Stephen DeKnight.
Yeah.
And Man of Uncle is one of those things where I think if people would have been like, let's get the buzz going for it, and demanded it. It's one of those movies where I think, okay, let's revisit this world, and it would have worked. Army Hammer killed that. So thanks, bud. Thanks a lot.
I know.
And then you're gonna ruin Death on the Nile for me too.
Oh, I know, right? Oh God, that's gonna be awkward. Yeah, but see, the thing is like, Pacific Rim 2, what I didn't, Stephen DeKnight, that's who directed it, right? Who just obviously just had the whole Jupiter's Legacy thing, which was interesting.
Was that him?
Oh, he was part of it. He left like halfway through or something like that.
Oh, he made the right choice, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, from what was being heard is, Mark Millar is not the easiest guy to work with. I don't know, but I think there were some things like he talks about creative differences, but I don't know. You start hearing stuff about Mark Millar. I don't know, but anyways, what I didn't like about Pacific Rim 2 is it just didn't have the same feel. It felt too like Disney. I remember I said it as like it felt too Disney, like Disney show to me. I mean. Just because it was just, you had like these younger people. I thought Boyega did a great job. He was very charismatic, good character, but then the
You saw
feel
the
of like,
kid from Disney Channel, the Indian kid.
yeah, I mean, there was just, it just had that, you know, there was like the younger kids that were part of the group, and it was just kind of like yeah, let's do it. The first one felt more grounded, I guess you could say.
It did.
You felt like these big, huge machines. They were slow, but they were powerful, and there was just some beautiful shots. When it came to the second one, everything was like Transformers almost. It was like everything was moving fast. It was all fast paced, and I'm like, it doesn't feel like it.
And it's so sad because I like these movies that are like popcorn movies where you could just kind of let your brain, you know, go off, take a break, and then you just eat popcorn and have a blast watching like explosions. Like I like that. Like, you know, Godzilla versus Kong or Godzilla King of the Mountain. I like watching things fight. My issue is I love the slow moving aspect of those, you know, the robotic kaiju or Jaegers.
Yeah.
I don't know why you put sunlight on these characters, but it made the fight so cheap.
Thank you. You know, and I always bring this up, and I think this is why, you know, love or hate Zack Snyder, people will always be like, but his visuals, look at those visuals. They look so good. And I'm like, yeah, the reason why is it's not in broad daylight. He doesn't have these epic scenes are not happening in broad daylight. It'll be at night, of course, or dawn or dusk. You know, there's like maybe some light. But that's what I mean. That's just a trick that even like I've talked to VFX people, and I'm like, oh yeah, he uses those little tricks to hide the imperfections. To, you know, he uses tricks like on the set where it's like, you know, you got like an explosion happening. It's not going to just be a pure digital thing. He wants a light that indicates that so that it reflects off the actors and blah, blah, blah. There's so many attention to detail that he does with his VFX crew that, and of course, you know, cinematographer or whatever, if he's not doing it, of course. And that make those visual effects look really good. And I think Del Toro nailed, I mean, that fucking movie's beautiful. There's some shots in there that are just gorgeous when it comes to that.
You know, was it Tokyo at night?
Yeah.
And you got you know how Tokyo is. They're all about neon colors and these bright signs and the way they reflect off the Jaegers with the rain. And it looked so appealing to the eye, which is like you said with Snyder, he knows how to shoot things with like dust. Like you think, you know, in Man of Steel, they're fighting in broad daylight, but you don't see like a lot of people probably aren't watching the detail of the corn husk dust like floating as they're fighting, or the smoke, or the, you know, the debris from the buildings. And that's what I like. I'm just like, oh my, you take these things that shouldn't look good and make it look amazing. And it's sad. And
I think that's why, like, I mean, I think going to like a Captain America Civil War, for instance, it's like, I enjoyed the movie, and that fight between the two should have been a lot better. I mean, in my eyes, it's okay, but it also was like, because, well, first off, they're fighting in an airport, you know, a jetway, I guess you could say, during broad daylight. And then of course, you know, the stakes didn't feel as high as they should have been. But at the same time, it's like the reason why maybe like the effects don't look as good as they should is just because it's all in broad daylight. And then I remember watching the trailer of that, and you're seeing like, okay, team Cap and team Iron Man. But then all of a sudden it's like, this is before we all knew about the Spider-Man thing. And then all of a sudden you see Spider-Man there, and you know that it's all digital, like injected in there. He wasn't in there in the shoot. A lot of the things were not there and everything. So, I mean, I think that's why when I see people go like, yeah, that scene looks awful, I'm like, yeah, it kind of does, because it just seemed like they were still kind of wondering what was happening with Spider-Man. Are we going to get him? Are we not? And they kind of did like two versions. Like, we can have a version that does have him, and we can have a version that doesn't. I don't know.
Right.
It just was like a weird thing when it came to all that.
Yeah, it's almost, it's like his suit was made by the same visual effects team that did Black Panther. It was very fake. And then they're like, okay, we're going to fix this in Homecoming and Far From Home and all the other movies they've done with Spider-Man since. Yeah. So
it's funny though, because when it comes to Spider-Man, it's like, yeah, they did a better job with the suit and stuff like that when it came to his individual movies. But it's like, I almost like him. I like him better when it's not his own movies. Like, I thought he was, even though, you know, when it comes to him being fully digital, I still liked him better in Civil War than I did in Homecoming. And it felt like a weird it felt different. I don't know, because when you see his apartment, when they go into his apartment, when Tony shows up, I mean, he's very modern looking, and even his room looks different. He doesn't have bunk beds. And then when you go to Homecoming, all of a sudden he's wearing like thrift store clothes because they're trying to indicate like, yeah, you know, Aunt May can't really afford. He's wearing like New Balance shoes and like a, you know, it's just, and I'm like, there's a different kind of tone that they have with the individual movies than they do. And then even with Infinity War, I'm like, I liked him even more. I don't know. There's just maybe the Russo brothers better with Spidey than Mr. Watt. I don't know.
I think John Watts, maybe it wasn't even John Watts. Maybe it was Kevin Feige. I don't know. Yeah. But when they said they were doing, you know, John Hughes with Spider-Man in these Spider-Man movies, like the John Hughes feel, which John Hughes is awesome. Like, you know, God rest his soul. His movies are great. But they kind of threw the John Hughes stuff in your face. Oh, he's in high school. Oh, he's quirky. Oh, you know, even in Homecoming, there's a scene where he's like running through the town, like in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm like, okay. I mean, it works for Spider-Man because that's him.
He's like literally like rooftop to rooftop, and then like I think he does like a little thing where he like web slings and like goes across a pool, and they're literally watching Ferris Bueller or something like that. Or something like that. There's a little.
He goes, "Oh, cool movie." Yeah.
I mean,
I think they kind of threw, and they did it in Far From Home too. They kind of threw John Hughes in your face, where it's like, okay, you can do it with Homecoming. That's not a problem, but try a different route with Spider-Man. With I hope it's not more of the same in No Way Home. I'm assuming it's not, but. You know, when you have the same director trying to keep with the same vision, you know, it's hard to say. Yeah. But now that you're opening up the multiverse, maybe he was talking to Raimi. Maybe there's a connection there, and that's why we might see these things. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like I said, that mid-credit scene where he's actually outside of Brooklyn, outside of the neighborhood, and in New York, and he was actually web slinging in New York, and I'm like, okay. Now we're getting to where we need to get, and blah blah blah. Even though I don't really like this MJ, I'm not a fan. I'm just not. I don't think their dynamic is as good as the original MJ, and then of course the Amazing Spider-Man with Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. But they have the best chemistry, I think.
Which one?
Gwen Stacy or Stone and Garfield for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely think when it comes to the three different ones, yes, I think Stone and Garfield definitely had the best chemistry, like right from the get-go. They really did a good job with that. And it's like, and then I mean, I remember even watching Amazing Spider-Man 2. I've had a couple of moments, and I think I was with my same friend where I literally go, holy shit, they're doing it. They're fucking doing it. And it's like, what? I'm like that moment where like when they're in the tower, and she starts falling, I'm like, they're gonna kill Gwen Stacy. They're gonna fucking kill her. Like,
yeah.
Sure enough, they did, and it was like balls.
Well, I guess what if I'm not mistaken, the reason why they did that is because they were gonna introduce MJ in the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and it was supposed to be Shailene Woodley.
Yeah, they shot scenes and they cut it out.
That's right. Okay, which is sad because the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is about as good as Spider-Man 3. Maybe even a little better.
Funny about what's Amazing Spider-Man 2 has some really great visuals. Really great.
That's where I was going with this. I think the web slinging is some of the best Spider-Man web slinging pulled out of a comic book I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, when he's when Electro in Times Square, and then you literally Mark Webb was like, we're going to emphasize, to the point where it even looks like the web is a hand in and of itself with fingers that are reaching out. I'm like, details, man.
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything with that was great. But then it's just like, but Electro's cheesy. You have the Rhino, which is, it's Paul Giamatti, fucking award-winning actor. And you got him in this thing. And he's just like, making these weird noises. And then you had Goblin, which was
not even he looked so bad. Yeah. So bad. They're like, you know what? Dane DeHaan was so awesome in Chronicle. We're gonna shoehorn him in as Green Goblin, and then they're like, you know what? Sinister Six. Let's put the tentacles in there. Oh, there's Vulture.
We're gonna have that. Little secret scene right there. I know. We're gonna. Yeah, it's just. It was just kind of frustrating. It's frustrating because, like I said, the visuals and there's a lot of great story, points in there too. I mean, like, you know, when Peter's father, that whole thing, and you know, the death of Gwen Stacy was all like, that was all there, but then it just, man, they just kind of cheesed the villains up a little too much, you know. And then Sony has a knack for showing like the last scene of the movie in the trailer.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you.
literally, like, you see the trailer and he's like, you know, he's got the manhole lid and he's gonna fling it at Rhino. It's literally the last shot before you see the credits. It's like,
that's what Morbius is gonna be. The last scene in Morbius is a teaser to Morbius 2, and it's gonna be Michael Keaton. Hey, man.
Yeah, dude, you might be right. You might be right. That might be like a secret scene or something like that, but they had to be like, we gotta connect it somehow. Yeah. And see, that's what I've always like wondered too when it comes to all this, is like, I mean, with the whole Sony and Marvel thing, I always just go like, man, what are the stipulations when it comes to all this? Like, you know, because even with Morbius, there's like that still where you see Jared Leto and you see Spider-Man. It says like wanted, but it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But are they I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Is this a ruse? Do you think this is Sony Pictures going, we know what Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home is doing. We're just going to show you it first.
This is what I worry about. Because I mean, it's been so built up now, and now if like they just kind of go like, yeah, we just kind of, you know, we didn't
do their own Ralph Boner.
Yeah,
oh man.
But I mean, all the evidence shows that, I mean, there's going to be something crazy, and then it just seems like, I think Into the Spideyverse really just kind of changed some things, where it's just like, because it won an Academy Award, for shit's sake. I mean, it was so well received, even though like when you look at the box office, you go, man, that should have been a lot more. But at the same time, it's still an Academy Award winning film. It was still something very unique. And it's like, if you don't lean into that, you might as well just give up. Just give up on your whole Spidey and just reboot it again, because you need to lean in to the whole Spideyverse thing. And it sounds like that's what's going to be the case. I don't know.
I mean, I think you're right.
Hopefully Ralph Boner doesn't show up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he just rips off the Morbius mask. It's me. It's Evan Peters. No, I think a lot of people saw Into the Spider-Verse and was like, that's my favorite Spider-Man movie. This is the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. And Sony Pictures had to have seen that and went, well, we can't let that happen with our live actions, our darling Tom Holland. We can't let that happen. We better open up the multiverse. I'd have to imagine that's what it is.
They would have to, because I mean, I thought I heard that Lord and Miller, they said that they were even thinking about incorporating Toby or maybe Andrew. Like, hey, like when they were thinking about, So I think like they always had that on the board. Like when they were thinking about how many different Spider-Men can we have, the different kinds, you know, at one point they were like, well, what if we just brought back Tobey Maguire to do a version or something like that, you know? And I think that was always on the table. And I think once it came out and people, it was so well received, that was kind of a selling point maybe for Toby and, you know, maybe even Andrew. It's like, hey, people are really digging this whole concept of multiple, you know, this multiverse thing. What do you think? And I'm really hoping that we're not just being led down disappointment to Boner Street.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think this is what is happening. You know, I just based on everything we've heard, we've seen, and apparently Andrew Garfield loved playing Spider-Man so much that when the whole universe was canceled, he took a break from a little break from acting until, you know, he did Hacksaw Ridge with Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
so
that movie gave me anxiety. Whew. That final act when it was just like when he's trying to get everybody off that ridge, but he won't pick up a gun. I would just keep going, just fucking pick up the
come on.
I was just like nailed by, like, dude, what the, and then it was like, man, I'm like,
he's dragging Vince. He's super skinny. And he's dragging Vince Vaughn with a blanket. He's like 6'3". I'm like, how? Well, come on. Through the beaches of Japan?
It was
I'm
just
like,
like,
what? Oh my god, that's
man.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then he throws him off a cliff, ties him up,
Yes.
throws him off a cliff,
Yes.
doesn't get shot, and then he's a hero.
Man, it was that whole story was just insane. But no, yeah, I mean, Garfield was all about it. I mean, he's expressed it. I mean, and I can't see, even though, like, you know, in recent interviews, he's been like, no, it's not the, you know, but he has to do that. He has to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you can almost see, like, I think, you know, you kind of sound, you're really quick to just be like, I don't know.
You're so sincere, but a liar at the same time.
Right?
I see right fucking through you.
So I think it should happen. But I wanted to ask you about, like, Star Wars. Like, how are you feeling where Star Wars is right now? How'd you feel about the new trilogy? And I mean, obviously it was Disney, you know. Yeah. So what were your full-on thoughts of the whole trilogy, the new trilogy?
I understand the gripes with a lot of them. Yeah. I think there was a lot to enjoy, and then looking back at it, there was some missed opportunities. You know, I really liked the first one. I thought the first one, Force Awakens, was really good. I can understand the gripes of it being kind of a copy and paste of A New Hope. You know, I liked what they did with a lot of those characters. Yeah. The Last Jedi, I like Rian Johnson. I think Rian Johnson's a great, you know, filmmaker. And if anything proves that, it's the Knives Out 2 casting stuff. Everyone wants to work with him.
Yeah.
And Knives Out is awesome. Looper was great.
Oh yeah.
The Last Jedi was very cheeky. You know, you didn't need to do the casino scene on Canto Bight.
Jesus Christ! Thank you. Okay, you and I are totally eyed, and I'm like, okay, I was digging Luke and Ray. That whole story, I thought he was doing something pretty good right there, deconstructing Luke and just kind of like, you know, and I know a lot of people were like, their groups, the whole, you know, nipple milk, green, blue milk, that was a weird thing.
He enjoyed it, by the way. He was like, I'm going to do this tomorrow too, Ray.
Yeah.
And I want you to watch me.
But what he did with Ray or with Finn and Rose, I was like, what the fuck is this even? I was like, this scene is like totally just useless to me. You had Benicio del Toro at your disposal.
Biggest waste of a good actor in your movie, especially coming hot off of that awesome movie Sicario. Like, huge waste of his talents. And you know, there's some things that I did like. I personally like when Ray handed Luke the lightsaber and Luke threw it backwards, and everyone's also like, oh, why would he do that? I'm like, you got to understand, like, you know, Kylo Ren turned on him and he threw his lightsaber. Like, he's done. He doesn't want to turn anyone.
You know what I would tell people about that when they were like gripe about it? I'm like, okay, but did you think he was going to do that? Well, no. I'm like, exactly. You did not think he was just going to toss it over his shoulder.
No.
I respected the fact. I mean, yeah, we all wanted it. We all wanted, like, oh, maybe he'd turn it on and look at it and blah, 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 and then say something. And yeah, I get that. But at the same time, I'm like, I did not expect him to just toss it over his shoulder like that. That was completely a surprise, and I was actually okay with that part of it. But we're going to get a third person in here. We got Ty from Pop Culture Corner. What's up, sir?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
How you doing, man?
Oh, it's just wonderful. I'm up and at 'em, and I was actually like, oh, look at that. Look what just came through. A reason to stay up.
There you go. Well, you haven't been on in a bit, and I was like, you know what? You know, if you wanted to join in, we're doing a little Star Wars talk right now.
Yeah, man. I've been listening, creating some thumbnails for E3 for this weekend. And,
that's right. That's happening, huh?
Yeah, I'm not like a huge video game person, so you know, I'm like asking the other guys, like, you know, what should I create? Like, what should I put on the banners? Because I'm like illiterate when it comes to that kind of like video game stuff. So, you know. I don't know if you guys are interested in it, but
nah, I mean, well, do me a favor though. Your volume is a little down. I don't know if there's like some audio. I mean, even somebody in the chat was like, "Hey, you're a little low." Try to just check it just a little bit. You're not like super low, but it's a little low. But go ahead. Maybe on the.
Is that better?
Yep, that's better. Good job. There you go.
Yeah,
that's good. No, but you know what? I've been to E3 years ago. I went to E3. That was when I was working on an Android website, and I just got an invitation to that. It was cool. I mean, I'm not a gamer, because one of the reasons why I'm not a gamer is because I've trust me, growing up, video games like crazy, obviously. And but if I get into it, I feel like I'm just gonna waste so much time because when I get into a game, I mean, 5 hours go by and I'm like, what happened to the day?
Well, that's my issue with video games, I guess, is like I feel like I'm wasting my time, and it's not to say anything bad about people that do play video games.
No,
it's just, like
nothing. No,
I feel like I could be doing something else. Like, but then again, like I'll sit watch like the Snyder Cut for 4 hours. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I've been listening to you guys, so I didn't want to impede on the conversation. So
No problem.
where were we?
No, we were just talking. We were talking
about.
I wanted to get Skyler's take on the trilogy, the new trilogy. We basically established that I think we're actually seeing eye to eye pretty much already when it comes to it. Like we both appreciate Force Awakens. It's probably the best one out of the three for
That's
you
fair,
know.
for sure.
Yeah, and I think JJ did I mean, yeah, you could. We totally get the gripes of cut and paste of New Hope. We get that, but at the same time, it's like, but he did introduce new characters, and he did a good. I think he did a good job of like putting that as nostalgia in there while setting up new characters. When it comes to Rian Johnson, we like Rian Johnson as a filmmaker. We agree that Knives Out, Looper, great films. But then the casino scene we're not fans of in Last Jedi. It's like, what do you feel about Last Jedi? What do you feel about Last Jedi, Ty?
Okay, so hot take. I liked it, but here's the thing. I am very much so. Actually, to bring it full circle with the video game thing, Star Wars is like it's a fandom, and it's an IP that. For me, it's like I play right through the storyline, right? I don't do any of the side quests, so I haven't seen any of the animated stuff. I've watched The Mandalorian. That's about it. But for the most part, I've just watched the movies. So you know what I mean? Like I'm missing 85% of all this other stuff that's out there. Yeah. So for me, the movies are fun. And The Last Jedi was just another of the movies that I enjoyed, popcorn style. I'm not as well versed as some people, but I enjoyed The Last Jedi, and I hear a lot of people really hate that movie so much, and why is that though? I've heard it from multiple people like Enosh, why people don't like it, but in your own opinion or your own words, why would you say Star Wars fans hate that film?
I don't think it's nearly as bad, especially after a rewatch. I don't think it's nearly as bad as Rise of Skywalker, which there are parts of Rise of Skywalker that I liked thoroughly. But I think the biggest gripe that I always hear with The Last Jedi is this casino scene and a side quest with one character that got shoehorned in with like Finn.
Yeah, Rose.
And then Finn kind of fell to the side when it was supposed to be him and Rey, which they kind of try and fix in The Rise of Skywalker. So I give J.J. Abrams that. So I think it was like, okay, let's put him with Rose Tico. And by the way, I don't mind the Rose Tico character. I like Kelly Marie Tran very much. Right. I just think what they did with those two characters probably wasn't the best for their story.
It wasn't.
But I was telling Dave, like I like the Luke and Rey interactions. I think the scene on I'm horrible with Star Wars planet names. The Salt Planet, is it Crate with the red?
I don't remember either.
You're asking the wrong guys.
Yeah, I think it's Crate where they have those speeder ships and they're attacking those walkers, and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome. Like,
that was a great scene.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I
mean, like that was so sweet, actually.
Yeah, and if there's one thing that Star Wars doesn't dumb down, it's their visuals. They go all out on visuals. They don't, if they're like, oh, you know what, we're running out of the budget for the visuals, Kathleen Kennedy's going to find a way to get money for those visuals. So that's always awesome. And I even like when it comes to those Disney Star Wars movies, I like their side stories. Like, I think Rogue One is awesome. I like how it tied into New Hope.
Rogue One's, I think, is better than any of the 3 trilogy movies.
Yeah, and I had no issue with Solo at all.
Oh, okay. Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
I have no issue with it.
I had some. It just, there were some things I did, but at the same time, I do remember rewatch. I'm gonna have to rewatch it again. But I remember rewatching it after when it first came out. I'm like, oof, man. It was just like, it just felt like there was things. I think it's what was always against Solo was the fact that it's just not Harrison Ford. I mean, kudos to, like, when anytime they try to do a younger version of a popular character, a lot of people, I mean, it's just very hard to look past the fact that hey, it's not the original guy.
Yeah.
That's always going to be difficult.
And that's why I think they didn't do that with the Mandalorian at the end with Luke, right? They just kind of like they just digitalized it or whatever, rather than like cast someone like Sebastian Stan, who fans are actually on board with.
Were you guys okay with that though?
I am. I think I think they might even look into it now, because it's not going to be that situation. Fans have already said like, we're in on this.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're doing that with Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones.
I was just about to say that. I'm like,
the little
there's going to be
on his face.
Apparently a lot of like flashbacking, and they're just going to be doing some de-aging, which, okay, cool. But I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, it's so weird how sometimes it could just not look good at all. But then it could look, in like some cases, it could look excellent. Like you watch a YouTube video and somebody fucking does like a deep fake or something. And you're going, why does that look better than the actual, when they put over millions of dollars over here? And I'm just kind of hoping that they kind of learn their lesson, because I mean, look at The Irishman. There were some times where it's just, and still old Robert De Niro trying to kick that guy when he's supposed to be like 30, in his mid 30s. And it's like, dude, at least get like another actor to like be the body. Yeah, you have to do that. So I mean, obviously they have to do that with Indiana Jones 5. If they're going to do flashbacks, they're going to have to get a younger dude that had that same build as Harrison Ford back in the 80s. Yep. Late 70s, early 80s. He's going to have that. They can't just, you can't just pace, make somebody look younger and then still have the old body. I mean, same thing happened with Captain Marvel with Sam Jackson. It's like, your face looks younger, but you're still moving like 60-something-year-old Sam Jackson.
I will say, though, that I think Captain Marvel is the best use of that technology. I thought it looked
his face looked great. His face looked great.
Didn't like it for Rogue One. I don't know about you, Ty, but I didn't. I was not a fan of the seeing Tarkin. He looked like a video game character.
Oh, okay. You didn't like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it looked fine.
Yeah. There's actually so what you said about how you go on YouTube and you see this like deep fake, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how you guys, because we just got on TikTok, like, it's not my favorite platform in the world, but there's this dude that does a Tom Cruise deep
fake. My God. You see
that? I swear to God, man, I thought that was real. I'm like, why is Tom Cruise like doing that? And then I'm like, then I looked into it a little further, realized it's a deep fake. And I'm like, and then we get things like the mustache with Henry Cavill. It's like, how is this happening? It's just this guy's out here making me really think Tom Cruise is on TikTok or whatever it's called, and it blows my mind. It really does.
All right, so Last Jedi. I mean, I thought, well, the missed opportunity with the new trilogy, and a lot of people, and I totally agree. It's like the fact that they didn't get Han, Leia, and Luke all together. That was a total missed opportunity. I liked JJ's balls to like kill Han. I mean, that scene, still tears me apart. I mean, when Chewie screams out, every time I just go, there's just something about that, because that's his buddy, and I get it, but it's like, maybe we could have saved that. Obviously we got Leia and Han, and then we got Leia and Luke, but to have them all three together, that was a total missed opportunity.
That's fair.
And I kind of wonder, like, why, like, that should have been one of the first things to be like, okay, we need a scene with all three of them reuniting. Mm-hmm. That's got to be in there. So I don't quite understand, like, and that's what always I always wondered too, because going into Rise of Skywalker and bringing back JJ when they were supposed to have Colin Trevorrow with his Duel of Fates script, which I think they should have went with, because the details on that sounded a little bit better. I'm just kind of wondering, like, how I always kind of went, they got to have a plan. How do they not have a plan? But apparently JJ even recently said, yeah, there really wasn't a full-fledged plan. I'm like, this is fucking Star Wars. How do you not have a plan? I would have thought you guys everybody would have sat down for weeks and outlined a whole new trilogy. But now, even retrospect, you go, yeah, they didn't, because one of my biggest gripes about Rise of Skywalker was the fact, and I said that, I think, in my first reaction, I'm like, it was like they were trying to cram so much in this last little chapter, and it was just like a ball into this ball that was just ready to burst. And I said it was symbolic even in the movie when the opening scene is literally them doing that light speed jump. It was like, boom, go to the next planet. Boom, go to the next planet. I'm like, that's how the movie was. It was like, boom, on to the next scene. Boom. It's like, leave whatever happened right here behind. Boom, we're on to the next thing now.
Right.
How do you?
That's a good comparison, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Rise of Skywalker, like, as a general, because I would consider myself like a general audience member for Star Wars, right? And I had a hard time keeping up with Rise of Skywalker, like with what was happening. You're right, though. There's so much going on. It was like I felt, like the people that critique BVS for like trying to put too much stuff in, which I don't think makes sense. That's kind of how I felt for this movie. I was like, well, this one really like feels like a lot's going on, and I almost can't keep up with it. Like, and it was confusing at times, but I just figured, I was like, oh, this must be Star Wars.
Yeah. Say what you will about Kathleen Kennedy. Like, I think Kathleen Kennedy is great at what she does. That's why she's in the position.
What are you talking about? She's getting fired like every other week, apparently.
Yeah.
Jeremy's saying it, but
oh, that's funny. No, I think anyone that's making $1 billion movies back to back to back and then has one misstep at the box office is successful, whether you like the movies or not. The one thing she can't do is vet her directors. Like, it should have been Colin Trevorrow on Rise of Skywalker or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It should have been Phil Lord and Chris Miller on Solo, and then it became Ron Howard.
Yeah,
and there was another director where I don't know if it was her and John M. Chu, but John M. Chu was supposed to direct the pilot for Willow, and then he dropped off. And I don't know if Kathleen Kennedy is vetting these directors. I don't know if she has someone doing it for her, but that's going to be her biggest mistake, is she's not vetting these people correctly, which then forces J.J. Abrams in and Ron Howard in to quickly do this in a timely manner. Like, you're doing these movies every other year.
Yeah,
you can't just rush. You got to rush this guy to get this out, because you can't wait 3 years for one movie.
And it shows. And it shows too in Rise of Skywalker, because like I said, everything is just trying to get crammed in there. And it sucks too, because as soon as Kylo Ren stops being Kylo Ren and beats Ben Solo, I'm going, well, fuck, I want to see an entire movie where it's Ben. It's like, how I just wish, like, when it came to Kylo Ren, and obviously, he had his moments where it was like, and even Rian Johnson was like, he destroyed his helmet, and I'm like, oh man, if they could have just did something where they brought the Ben Solo out in Rise of Skywalker, not Rise of Skywalker, but Last Jedi. And then we could have had a whole movie that literally, I mean, I remember even somebody on my timeline, and I retweeted it, that showed like, oh, what if there was like a Ben Solo, just a full on character. And it literally was like, it was like a cross between Han and Luke. It was him. We had a jacket. He had the blaster and a fucking lightsaber. I'm like, how badass would that have been? Just, and especially since he was like the bad guy, and then he turned good, and now he's going to take on, the First Order. He's going to take on as like this, as a cross between Han Solo and Luke, because I thought when he was finally Ben Solo and we got like that Han Solo kind of, humor, when he like pulls the lightsaber out And then, and then he does that whole, and I'm like, yes, I want more of that. And then he just wipes out everybody.
That was cool.
The Knights of Ren, which is funny. And I'm like, yes, that's what we should have had this whole fucking movie, to be honest.
I was a fan of him. When he, makes the change. I really liked the
but it was so quick. It was just
it was way too quick.
All of a sudden he was like, oh yeah, I'm not Kylo Ren anymore. I'm Ben. And then I'm going to fuck everybody up and die.
And then die. Yeah,
that might have been my favorite shot from Rise of Skywalker when Rey put the lightsaber down and he pulled it up. I was like, oh my goodness, why haven't we done this sooner?
That was great.
It is sad because these actors aren't coming back for future movies. I can't imagine. Like, I think John Boyega has been very outspoken that he's had enough. I think Adam Driver is going to move on to bigger and better things. Well, he has, I should say. I think Daisy Ridley is going to, it looks like she's taking her time, looking for her next thing. For instance, and
I worry about Daisy Ridley that she's getting that Natalie Portman effect. When Natalie Portman did the prequels, all of a sudden like the phone stopped ringing, and I've heard like Daisy Ridley go, "I haven't really gotten." And then her next movie is what the fuck was that movie with Tom Holland? Chaos something, whatever.
Well, I mean,
nowhere.
To defend her on that, wasn't that movie filmed like 15 years ago?
It was a while ago, right?
It was. I think they filmed that movie in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
What is it?
Wow. Chaos Walking.
Chaos Walking. Yeah.
I don't even think I've heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Ty.
Yeah. It's Daisy Ridley. It's Daisy Ridley, Tom Holland, not Viggo Mortensen, Mads Mikkelsen, and Nick Jonas.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically you could hear people's thoughts. Everybody could hear their thoughts are always being broadcasted for some reason. I don't even. I meant to watch it just to see how much of a shit show it was, but yeah,
it is.
So it came out in 2020, 2021, or presumably.
Yeah.
And you're saying it was filmed in 2016. That's really weird.
Oh yeah,
it was in production hell for a very long time. Long time. It was supposed to come out in like 2018, and it kept getting pushed back and pushed back. Apparently,
pre-pandemic.
Right. And it was major reshoots on that film, and the reshoots obviously didn't help. And
they never do. They never do. It seems.
What's bad?
I think the only time like a big time reshot scene or additional, whatever you want to call it, that really helped the movie was Dark Phoenix. That last, the final act on the fucking train, because that was apparently all like a redone. They came back and just added that whole thing, and I'm like, that was actually pretty strong. Yeah. The movie was not that fight. Great. Yeah, that whole with Magneto. Oh my god,
stabbing people with like shards. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Magneto.
That's a movie that I think gets a little bit too much flack.
Yeah,
I think it gets, because it's not as bad as ever. Because I honestly,
it's not as bad as I'm not a fan of Apocalypse, but
yeah, I'm not either. And honestly, Days of Future Past was like really the climactic film, right? And that's the one after that. It was hard to get excited for. Then Logan came out, but I don't classify that as like X-Men, like property, even though you know what I mean.
It's kind of like its own standalone thing for the most part.
I didn't even see. I didn't even see that one in theaters because I heard such terrible things about it, and then I watched it like 3 months ago, and I was like, "What the? Why did I wait so long to watch this?" It's not so bad. Dark Phoenix wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. No, it wasn't. It's a popcorn movie.
It's nowhere near as bad as Apocalypse, in my opinion, as Apocalypse or the New Mutants. I could not sit through the New Mutants.
Really?
Oh, New Mutants was New Mutants.
I could not.
Like it was very forgettable. Like I'm like,
it's forgettable. Yes,
super forgettable. And there was a lot there that they could have done, obviously. And when we saw that first trailer that came out, how many years ago?
Right. Speaking of production hell.
Yeah, it had that horror element, and everybody was like, "Oh, this looks really cool." And then all of a sudden, it just kept getting pushed back, reshoots, right. and you see it too. You see the reshoots. It got
caught in between that like merger too. You know, it got caught in between like the Fox Disney Disney merger. There was like this limbo period. It's like, will they release it? Will they not? So I think that movie was like doomed to fail. It's just
for sure.
And then I don't know why they did it, but that was the first movie to like release in pandemic. That was like the first pandemic release that like came out theatrically. Well, the first superhero, maybe.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Very like it felt like the first release while theaters weren't fully open at all, if any.
So now, right? You bring that whole the behind the scenes issues, the merger, and then to put the icing on the cake. It comes out during a pandemic, and it just
it's so fitting.
Yeah, it's literally just not set up for success. Throw it away. Just see you later.
Disney's like, it's the C words going around right now. Let's throw this movie out there that's been panned.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny too because I'm seeing Carrie. I know Carrie in the chat. He's like, "Oh, I love Apocalypse." I'm like, it has some moments. I mean, obviously the Wolverine moment is fantastic.
Very.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so funny is like they had to, you had to put that Wolverine moment, but at the same time, I mean,
but I forgot it was in there. That's how bad it was.
I'm too busy going like, but you got Oscar Isaac, who's supposed to be Apocalypse, this huge presence. And you know what? I mean, I'm not. It's not like I'm a tall guy myself. I mean, I'm probably like around the same height as Oscar Isaac. He's not a tall dude. So when you see Magneto is like taller than him, I'm like, it kind of just ruins the illusion here.
Yeah.
Because we have, and then especially when you see Thanos, and then when we saw Darkseid, it's like they did full on mocap and made these fucking gods. Apocalypse, it was full on practical. And it was like, you had Oscar Isaac, great. He did a good job, but he's also just it's like I can't see Magneto, being taller than him. He's gotta be huge, man.
Yeah. And an Apocalypse, is a really like deep threat.
Yes.
Right? And it just felt out of place for me. It was like,
you're right.
It was very, very underwhelming for like that. He's like the dark side, like the Thanos, right? Like he's that caliber of a villain, and then to use him like that, it was just like, it was very underwhelming.
Apocalypse should definitely not have been a one and done kind of character. He should be your build up character in your mutant universe. That's not coexisting within Marvel or any other universe.
And then coming off Days of Future Past, which was excellent,
God, such a good
movie. Excellent. I mean, how did you feel about that, Skyler? Would you like Days of Future Past?
It's probably my favorite X-Men movie of the bunch.
There you go. I wasn't sure. I was like,
that's
your reaction. I'm like, does he feel? Okay, good. Good. I was about to kick you out, but I'm gonna stay now.
That's it. See ya. Good night. Thanks. Cheers. No, it's
take your Bloody Mary and get out.
Yeah, right.
No, but I mean, it was such a strong, movie. I mean, like Days of Future Past. I think. I mean, personally, Logan, when it comes to the X-Men universe, I mean, there's something about Logan that I just love so much, and I've watched over and over again. I mean, obviously it's a one-off story, so I guess you can't really call it like full-on X-Men, but but it fits in the universe. But I just love that story so much and love the acting. I think it should have been nominated with some, because Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, they fucking just went out. I mean, that was their opus. I mean, they went out with a bang. But Days of Future Past.
I like the Wolverine that James Mangold did with him. I like the Wolverine. And the unrated one. I'm like, okay, this is Logan. This is like Logan Minor, basically.
Yeah. And Logan for me, like, God, you're so right. It was like the opus. It was their swan song.
Yeah, swan song. That's what I meant to say too. Yeah,
and because like the X-Men franchise in its entirety was bumpy road, but mostly like I think the general consensus would be like, okay, it was okay. It wasn't the greatest, it wasn't the worst, But this movie, like the way they ended it, it was so perfect, and that's why I don't want to see Hugh Jackman come back.
I agree.
Especially for a Deadpool cameo when you know it's going to be like poking fun at him in some way. It's like I just don't want to bring him back for that.
I mean, if Hugh Jackman comes back as Hugh Jackman, fine. That's meta. That's all Deadpool, and they can make jokes like crazy. But I know. It's just, I mean, it is a missed opportunity, I think, a little bit, because it's like, oh man, I would love like a road trip movie with those two. Yes, it'd be great, but at the same time, I'm like, you just can't take away from Logan, because it's just such a good way to just send off that character that he did. But
it's like how we were talking about Tony Stark. This character just needs to stay dead, and if you're going to do what Marvel's doing and try and rejuvenate X-Men, then you need to do it with new people, fresh blood. Tell a different story, make him different actor.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And I mean, I'm sure you guys watched Loki, right?
Of course. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Yeah. He's actually seen the second episode.
Oh God, I hate you.
Just
don't worry.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That show though. So talk about rejuvenating love for Marvel. I think this show, because WandaVision, so subpar in my mind. Falcon and Winter Soldier was more of what we know. Like it was just like a good Marvel story, maybe a little bit too much political, political. We get it. Like we got to have Sam Wilson make this great speech at the end. But Loki is just like, this is what I like about Marvel. Right, like this is what it is. This is what I like about this stuff.
What I'm digging, and it's weird because Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to come first, and then WandaVision, and then Loki. I mean, but I actually kind of like the fact that isn't that what was supposed to happen?
I think it. So I've been hearing mixed things, because I said what you said, and someone told me no, Loki was supposed to come first.
Oh,
but that doesn't make sense to me.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was under the impression it was always Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think I'm in agreement with you guys. Yeah.
See, we're gonna go with the Disney Insider guys. So I'm just saying.
I would just say only because the Falcon and the Winter Soldier started production way before Loki did.
Well, and then when you watch it, it's like it's supposed to be like right after all the events in Endgame, right? I mean,
right? Yeah. Well, because and then so Black Widow's supposed to come out, and then
Jesus,
the first another one, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier would kick things off. We would get that that little cameo from Madame Hydra or. No.
Oh, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah. So, and
I
that
know
was
who you're talking about.
That was that cameo. So that was supposed to set that up. And then but that's what I said. And someone was like, no, Loki was supposed to come out first. I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like,
no way. I can't imagine that. Yeah. But I've always been under the impression that as long as Black Widow came before Hawkeye, it didn't matter what order the other three were in. But Hawkeye had to come after Black Widow. That's what I've always been told.
Because of the events of
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because that make
multiple characters intertwining within the series. Yeah.
Okay. And
but what I was like saying though is like I like the fact that the order that it came in now, like WandaVision was like crazy weird, whoa, and when I dug it until the Ralph Boner part, then it was like fucking shit. Yeah, I mean, I literally lost my boner for it. And it was just like, man. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm like, all right, cool, political. It's got a Winter Soldier vibe. Digging it, it's nothing like, it wasn't anything too spectacular. I have my gripes with it, but now we're going into Loki, and now we're like, oh, we're back into like the crazy fucking cosmic shit where now we got this time variant team authority, whatever, and I'm going, okay, I'm multiverse. Okay. You've got me. You got me. Like, the first episode, a little slow. I get it. They're establishing everything. I hear the second, you said the second episode's obviously,
I heard it's better. Yeah,
it is better.
Oh my god, it's like it's this whole series, and like I like the Kang like potential. It's like, but I like the Kang like the theories and stuff, but it's like I don't want to suffer from WandaVision syndrome is what I now
that we were
call
talking
it.
about. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if you were watching, but I was mentioning like the one thing that's gonna irk me is when you're watching episode 1, you see that they're in the church in the pane glass, and you see the devil, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh,
Mephisto!
Literally,
Yeah.
my co-host was like, "Mephisto's confirmed." I was like, "Dude, oh god, I hate that name. I hate that character."
I do too.
All of a sudden, I
WandaVision,
don't like him.
really fucking squandered that fucking name. Now everybody was like Mephisto. Ah.
Yeah.
Don't
The little
introduce
girl-
him in the MCU. Just leave him out from now on.
The little girl, she like points at the devil. I'm like, "Oh, here we go, man."
Yeah,
It was almost like a poking
she's
fun.
Mephisto.
Yeah,
Oh, gosh.
we're all Mephisto.
Oh,
I actually so I'm like kind of friends with Jeffrey Ford, who's the editor for Marvel. Like he did all the Captain America movies, he did most of the Avenger movies.
Oh, nice.
And he did Falcon and Winter Soldier, and now he's working on No Way Home. And like I was talking to him about like working on Falcon and Winter Soldier and how it was. You know, I asked him because this is all in email because we're working up to get him back on, and I very much thought, are you guys dipping your toes in like a darker set of content? Because Falcon and Winter Soldier had some dark moments, and you know what I saw from that show was like they're almost testing the waters on maybe that line in the sand that Marvel or Disney won't cross, and he kind of like hinted at like there might be more, you know, this Disney Plus stuff might get a little bit edgier, and you know they see the success of the Snyder Cut, and they have an opportunity here to tell not dark Snyder Cut stuff, but like you know
darker than normal,
darker than your normal MCU stuff.
That makes sense.
So I think that's like a good sign, at least for me, because I think audiences are ready for a little bit edgier stuff, especially after the Snyder Cut and what Zach does. So I mean, it gets me excited. I'm honestly excited for the MCU again.
Yeah, I mean, I think and you make a great point. I think there's 2 series that Marvel has in development. Well, one kind of now wrapped up, but that could test those waters. The first one being Hawkeye. You know, there's gangster mobs, there's murder, there's very dark things reminiscent to, let's say, Daredevil with
Seinfeld. Yeah, I'm already in.
That's true.
And
then I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and then you got Moon Knight, where the character is experiencing multiple personality disorder and what his villains are. A lot of people like to call him the Marvel Batman, which I don't personally see, but I can understand why in terms of like, I guess him putting on the suit and fighting people. I guess, but just the idea of like diving into something kind of darker with that character, or even if the rumors are true and they decide they want to dive back into Ghost Rider, you could do dark things with Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
not that campy stuff we saw with our boy Nick Cage. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be fair though. The sequel, they were like, "Fuck it." It was the guys that did Crank, I think, right? The brothers. That did the
that's
Crank
right.
movie.
Yeah.
And they actually were like, "Hey, we're gonna go R-rated and let's do this, and we're gonna use Nick Cage's real hairline." Okay. This time, yeah, I'm just saying. If you look between Nick Cage and the first one, the second one, he's got a fucking piece on because let's face it, Nick Cage.
The tragedy
one, it's his real hairline.
The tragedy of Spirit of Vengeance is the fact that they said, "No, we don't need to bring Eva Mendes back."
Yes. Right. Oh, yeah, that was a tragedy.
Yeah.
But they had Idris Elba in there. I'm like, fuck.
It's so funny because the first one, the first Ghost Rider's villain was Mephisto.
Was it?
Yeah, that's Peter Fonda was Mephisto.
Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, he is Mephisto.
Mephisto confirmed.
Yeah,
he's confirmed.
He's in the multiverse of madness. Yeah, you heard it here first.
Didn't even think about that. Cheers, boys. There you go. Cheers to that one right there.
Yep.
Love it.
Didn't even
My
think
God,
about that.
Mephisto is confirmed. Finally, we can.
Guys,
we can rest easier. My lord. my Lord and Savior Mephisto.
I
But
said, uh-oh, guys, we got somebody, that's coming in here that was not a fan of Last Jedi. I know that. Mr. Matt Jarbo. We don't need to
Oh,
talk
God.
about that.
We don't need to talk about Last Jedi.
why do I always end
it
up
was a
sitting
good
next to
intro.
him?
Because I know how much you do not like Last Jedi.
I have complaints.
Yeah.
I was listening to you guys talk about like the whole lightsaber throwing earlier, and I think that scene was played for laughs more than anything else. So, I mean, but still, Canto Bite. There's no defending Canto Bite. There's none.
Yeah,
No one likes R2D2 as a slot machine. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some Rule 34 about R2D2 that's a slot machine. So
That's true. I can't knock you there.
yeah. Well, I've seen some stuff like that too. But the internet's a vast and wild place. What can I say?
We all
Thank you for joining, Matt.
Log off.
Apparently,
Hey,
I wanted to take the, we turned his camera off too. He's like,
No,
No, the dog's here. I gotta put him in the chair real quick.
Oh,
One
okay.
second.
I'm off camera predominantly because I've been having StreamYard issues with my internet. Like it always seems to crap out if I'm on camera, so I just have to kind of
right.
It's Xfinity. It's like I
lying.
didn't drop like what a shitload of money on like a camera and lights and stuff to like not be well. I mean
That's
sometimes,
true.
but it's just StreamYard sucks some days.
Yeah, man.
there's
I've been looking
hitting
into other ones, just like testing the
Streamlabs.
waters. Streamlight keeps emailing me. I don't remember ever signing up for anything, but it's like that's like what John Campia uses or whatever. So I figured I'd just see how it was.
Well, given how much money he makes a day on super chats, you might be onto something there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know we went from like Star Wars to like this whole mutant X-Men talk, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on like how do you think they're going to introduce like the mutants into the MCU?
That's a really good question.
That's I mean obviously we thought we got something in WandaVision, but that was a boner literally. So I don't know how do they do it? I mean, with the whole multiverse thing or what?
So I have this this is before all the Spider-Man No Way Home and the stuff that Doc Ock said about how he comes in. I always envisioned the way they would do it is like at the end of I don't know whatever film it would be, Doctor Strange is goes off on this little quest or whatever, and at the end of the movie he comes back and he's like, I brought friends, opens a portal, and the X-Men step through. That's that's the easiest way I could think of doing it. But I don't know, WandaVision, she was born with her powers. Does that make her a mutant? So I don't know. It's a very good question.
I think they're just gonna do the multiverse. It just seems like the easiest thing because you have to look at it like this. They don't want to make it complicated. They don't want to make it cumbersome. Yeah. They literally just want to go, here's how it's happening, fucking deal with it, and then move on. Like that's it. And I think Loki is gonna be a big factor in that. So they're just gonna kind of go, hey guys, mutants.
Here they are.
They are.
They have to be sprinkled in. I mean, you make a good point with Loki, especially if they're doing Kang, and he's the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I think that's one of the movies that could introduce these characters. I have to imagine Fantastic Four is introduced first because they've already announced it. It makes sense to introduce them in Ant-Man in some sort of way, and then. But then again, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's called Multiverse.
Yeah.
You can't do the X-Men and leave it on a boner joke.
I'm a boner defender. What can I say? I thought that it was great. I thought that it was great because again, so many people had their panties all in a twist during that entire run. They're just like, it's Mephisto. You see that shot of a fly on the window? That was how Mephisto was first introduced into the comics.
You love chaos.
All that stuff.
That is,
but I was never on the Mephisto. I was not like, okay, like maybe he's there. I don't know, but I was never like. But when Evan Peters was right there, when opened the door, I mean, it was like, okay, here we are. It's finally happening, and it was just a big fucking letdown.
Well, you got to think of it like this though: is they kind of explained it where, he said, look, I don't know, I was just someplace else, and then I heard you calling out, and now I'm here. And I mean, that's obviously meant to kind of tie into the multiverse because Scarlet Witch can kind of do that already. And we don't know, is he the person? So for one, okay, let's think of it like this, right? So if the scepter, Loki's scepter, was able to, kind of give Wanda, or maybe unleash Wanda and Pietro's powers, right? Would Agatha be able to give Ralph Boner super speed? Or would she just unlock his latent mutant ability? There's questions there because it's like we don't know about any. I mean, if you go back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were trying to introduce all of that through fish oil at the end of season 2 to build up that was literally it at the end of season 2. They that was how they were introducing I forget all about it, but it was like trying to unlock the Inhumans abilities, like which ones out there were Inhumans. And they did it by releasing this thing into the ocean that was being picked up by fish oil. It's a whole weird fucking thing. And then it went off the rails in season 3. But, they're going to want to make it like they're not going to introduce Quicksilver for a cheap laugh. The Boner thing was meant to be, I think, a throw-off joke. Because I don't think that's his real name. I still think he was under Agatha's spell. She was controlling him, but I mean, she could have controlled anybody else. And at times she kind of was, but she didn't give anyone else in town any kind of special abilities.
I pray that you are 100% right.
So do I.
So do I, because then I would that would validate my existence, and I'd be okay with that.
But when is that going to pay off?
Well,
it took 10 years to pay off Thanos.
It's still fresh. It's still a fresh thing.
Yeah.
She is going to be in Doctor Strange too. We know that she's part of that. So maybe, hopefully.
Wait, Scarlet Witch or Agatha Harkness?
Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
I think Agatha Harkness will be a part of.
But
Doctor Strange, by the way.
I was going to.
I think so. I think she's going to be used as some. I don't think she's necessarily a villain. I think somehow, some way, she's going to go to her and pull her out. Maybe it's not Doctor Strange, but I do think it'll eventually happen.
Yeah.
Catherine Hahn, they're bringing her back some way, somehow.
Well, she was too popular not to.
Yeah. Agatha in the source material is like, she's not a villain. She's not a hero. She's more of a,
Let me teach you of your ways.
Yeah.
Your power.
I would call she's not an anti-hero either. It's the wrong word.
Yeah.
But she's, she's just Agatha. And she's just kind of there and she does what she wants. And I don't know, the Quicksilver thing just really rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest, because I just, why do it? Just why tease like that?
Because it's awesome. It's awesome.
I think it's just because everybody's wondering how they're gonna get the mutants in there. I mean,
right.
But when it comes to it, I mean, let's face facts. And it's going to be really curious to see how people react to it, especially since being in the DC world, when everybody goes, not my Superman, not my Batman, or something like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, okay, now we're going to get a new Wolverine at one point. Ooh, how are people going to react to whatever casting that's going to be? Like, how are people going to respond to the next Wolverine that's not Hugh Jackman? That's what I'm kind of curious to see when that, because it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So whoever that is, good luck to you, because now you're going to get that treatment that, people who take up the Batman mantle or the Superman mantle, they get fucking hounded by fans going, this guy sucks. He's not going to be a good one. But,
yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. Like, I really do feel bad for whoever that person is.
I think,
they're not going to get a chance. They'll get a chance, but they will be ridiculed from the jump.
Oh yeah.
Here's how I think they're going to handle the situation, and it just seems to make the most amount of sense to me. I think Hugh Jackman is going to have a say in who they pick, at least like an approval of who they pick. Not to say like he's going to be the definitive approval, but he'll be on board, or at least they'll pay him enough money to come out and give a public, recommendation, right? Like, this is my successor. Or this is the successor to the character. I love that we spent 17 years doing this.
Handing the torch to him.
Yeah, he's gonna have to pass the torch.
Handing the claws to him, I should say.
Yeah, and like that's what they're gonna have to do. And at that point, you're gonna get a lot of fans that are gonna go, okay, I feel good about Hugh Jackman saying this is okay. You know, like if it was someone like Avi Arad who came out and did it, there would be an absolute fucking revolt because it would just be the wrong casting.
But the question I have though too is like, do they go like source material, and cast a shorter person, not a 6'2", good looking, Hugh Jackman type, or do they really go like, hey, let's get somebody who's doesn't have who's vertically challenged? What do they do?
I've heard like Taron Egerton was a name that was tossed around for a while, and like
he would actually be.
It's going to be someone who's like 5'8", 5'10", somewhere in there. Like a moderate, average size person.
Like 5'3", 5'4".
Yeah, because think about their contract. Their contract's going to end up being around like what, like 9 pictures, 10 years, somewhere in there. So they're going to have to grow with the role, and so just have someone who can go with it. Maybe make them a little younger,
of course, and
then go from there. But they're gonna. I mean, the thing is, Feige is key at not fucking up, really. So I think like, and then there's also the old story about how he was the one who was slipping Hugh Jackman X-Men comics while they were on the set.
Yeah, because Bryan Singer didn't want those on set, right?
Yeah. He was too preoccupied with Boys in Hawaii. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Allegedly.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm just gonna make terrible jokes.
It's fine. No, I like it. I like the fact that you went there because that's one of the things that we, when we're talking about these movies, it sucks that the fact that the best X-Men movies are from Bryan Singer, even though James Mangold, when we give him credit to, because like I said, Logan is still just even the Wolverine, like we said, but let's face it, Days of Future Past, X2, come on, even the first X-Men, I mean, come on, those were
Singer gets the characters. I don't know what happened with Apocalypse, but I mean, for those ones,
I don't know what the hell happened either. I mean,
I have a feeling with Apocalypse, a lot of it was Jennifer Lawrence. I think it was a lot of the cast throwing their muscle around.
Thank you for saying that, because I always was like a firm believer that Jennifer Lawrence fucked up Raven or Mystique, because if you look at her in Dark Phoenix, the makeup is half-assed, so half-assed. Or is it Dark Phoenix? That's where she died. Right? Yeah. Because like you compare that to Days of Future Past, and it's like, wow, they just did not do anything with that makeup. They really didn't.
She didn't like it. Like she didn't like.
Yeah, of course not. Who does? No actor does like to sit there and 4 hours of makeup, but you do it anyways. That's your job.
Yeah, because they pay you to do it.
A shit ton of money.
A lot of good money.
I will sit there and make me look cool. Fine. Yeah.
I wonder if she was
Amos. Like I heard she was like throwing up like blue fucking blood or something. I don't know what the hell she was throwing up. Like some of the makeup, because it was like toxic back then. Of course they improved it. I don't know. It was a rumor, but whatever.
Yeah. But she, you know what? She suffered for the role.
She's a professional.
Cool. Yes.
She did it. Well, I also think Jennifer Lawrence had enough smoke blown up her ass over the success of the Hunger Games franchise, because that was happening. Like, because I remember First Class came out in 2011. The first Hunger Games dropped like March 2012. And then, you had like Catching Fire 2013, and then X-Men Days of Future Past in mid 2014. Was it Hunger Game, or was it Mockingjay Part 1 was the end of 2014? So it's like she was in this massively successful franchise that she was the lead of, and then versus playing a supporting role that had her in like the worst makeup. I can understand why she would, want to push back on it. But at the same time, it's like, just resign from the role. Like no one's going to cry over Jennifer Lawrence turning down being Mystique.
Uh-huh. And Mystique's a character that you can really swap. One of the only characters that you can swap like that, because of her abilities to look different when she needs to. So I mean,
she won an Oscars. He was probably like, I'm over this X-Men shit.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of my biggest gripes. I mean, I even posted on my Twitter the side-by-side comparison of the makeup in Days of Future Past to Dark Phoenix. I was like, look at how like half-assed this looks. I mean, it was bad. I mean, even like I hated the costumes with the big X's across. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
remember? I mean, one of the things that
Yeah.
one of the things that was actually good about Apocalypse was at the end they all had their cool little like individual costumes, and I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool. But then they totally just threw them out for Dark Phoenix, and they were all wearing matching X long sleeve shirts. I don't know.
I
It was
never
really
liked
weird.
that. I never liked the uniformity of
I hated it.
the
Ugh.
X-Men. Like they always had like an X-Men get up, you know, like the team get up, and I didn't like that.
It didn't
I
make
like-
sense.
yeah.
It's always hard to. I mean, that's part of the problem with the adaptations. You know, is like how do you because you know like how do you allow like especially with Singer's earlier work, it was like how do you adapt something that's meant to be taken seriously and then not make because you know it's like the average moviegoer that's not a comic nerd gonna look at some of the comic accurate costumes and go like what the fuck is this
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't translate, and I like actually the fact that in the first X-Men movie, even Logan Wolverine, he makes a joke. He's when he gets in his costume for the first time in the final act, he's like, can we, he says something, and then Scott, Cyclops goes, "What do you want? Big yellow spandex or something like that?" And it's like, yeah, that would not work. Live action, the live action Wolverine would not work.
And the thing is that movie did well with normies. Like my stepdad is not a comic nut, but when I bought that DVD, The Fall in 2000, that and Gladiator, he was watching that shit on repeat.
Yeah,
Loved both of those movies. Yeah, and then was an advocate to go see all the other X-Men movies because he enjoyed the first one so much. So you do have to kind of like ease people in. But I mean, that was 21 years ago now. So where we are now is.
God.
I know, right? It's like I was 18 the summer that X-Men came out. Now I'm almost 40.
Right.
Yeah, Skyler,
so
we're talking about comic accurate costumes trying to be translated to film. I mean, what is your whole thing about that?
It's hard.
It's hard, right?
I mean, some you can do it. Right. I think the X-Men, I don't know if you guys were talking about this, but I don't know if the X-Men is the easiest to try and translate, especially something like Wolverine, even though they teased it.
I was just going to say that.
Like, in the first X-Men movie, like literally like when Logan finally is, in the final act, when they're going to take on Magneto, he just like, he's in the costume at first. And then Scott goes like, "What'd you want?" Like big yellow spandex, making a jab at the actual Wolverine. It's like, yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
But when they
go ahead.
When they teased his the yellow and brown, that costume, and he opens the thing up, I was like, that would probably look sick.
Well, and the Wolverine, the extended cut.
I was like, that probably would look real.
Unrated
but that's
cut.
Because we would like it. You know what I mean? Maybe the average person would be like, what?
Do you darken the eyes, or do you do the whites like with Deadpool's suit?
You'd probably have to do the darken the eyes. I mean, when it comes to Batman, I've always had that question, like, what would actually look good? And then that was one of the questions I actually asked Zack Snyder. Like when I first had him on, I for some reason, I'm like, that's a question I want to ask because I've always wanted to know, out of all the directors that have directed a Batman, have you ever considered having the full-on white eyes?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, he just kind of basically said, well, there's a lot of motion in the eyes, and there's not so much you could do if it's just plain up white.
Right.
I went, that makes sense. He goes, but with the armored suit,
you
could do it because they're lit up. And I was like, he brought up a good point. It's like, in the mech suit, in the armored suit, 100%, you can have those white eyes. Anything that's like tactical, sure. But Batman's regular suit, you can't pull off the white eyes at all because there's a motion that needs to be shown there, and you can't really get that. So that's why you do the blacking of the eyes. And then I love the fact that Matt Reeves said, well, hold my beer. I'm actually going to show you Bruce Wayne take off the cowl, and the fucking makeup's going to be there still. And I'm like, that's why Matt Reeves, I'm looking forward to your Batman.
Yep. I like that, by the way.
I think Reeves is going to bring it in a way that is just going to be insane.
Oh, dude, he said, hold my fucking beer when it came to Dark. Are you kidding me? Like, okay. Nolan did. Did Snyder? Okay. Burton, wait. Yeah.
Well, it's like if you go back and you listen to him at Fandom last year, he was nerding out when he was talking about it.
Yeah, he was.
And I think to like the average viewer, it was very boring. But to those of us who like the film industry, that was like, oh yeah, no, talk more.
I wanted it to keep going.
Yeah, he just was breaking it down, and I'm like, oh, and then they showed the trailer, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, he turned the Planet of the Apes franchise on its head. Like the Planet of the Apes franchise should be a running joke, you know.
Should be, yes.
It's very corny in the 60s, 70s, and the Tim Burton one was like, eh. And then, you know, you had that first one where they introduced it, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then all of a sudden, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was this dark action, almost a little bit of action movie. And then the last one's like just mind blowing how much
I haven't seen either of them.
Oh my god, it's so
yeah,
good.
yeah. I've seen Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I saw that when I was still living in LA, and then when Dawn, I own them. I own all of them on Blu-ray. I do own them. So the problem though is like I started watching with my girlfriend, and then she had moved to Oregon when I was still in San Diego in the summer of 2014. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold off watching Dawn until she can watch Dawn. And then it just, you know how it is. Sometimes months and time goes on, you don't get around to watching it. And then like War came out in 2017, and I'm like, oh yeah, right. I got to go watch the other one still. And I bought War when it came out. I just sat there unopened, you know.
Oh, you need to get on that.
I know. Is it streaming anywhere? Are they streaming anywhere?
Movies. My God.
Wait, you have them.
Yeah, but I have to dig them out. I have to dig them out. That's the thing. Like they're in storage.
Dig them out.
So it's like I'm also very lazy on like, can I just stream it? They'll be in as good a quality.
To be honest, I'm the same way. I'd rather stream it instead of pull out a Blu-ray and pop it in and hit start on the the PS5 or the PS4. Excuse me, I don't have the PS5. The PS4 or pop it into a DVD or a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, but not only that, now all my TVs are 4K, and so I have my PlayStation 4 hooked up, but it's not a 4K player. So I got to pull out my Xbox One X, plug that in order to be able just to watch anything in good definition. Because if you try watching a Blu-ray on a 4K TV, it looks like shit, which is so weird.
Matt, first world problems, man. Come on.
Yes, I'm still pissed about my Indiana Jones getting delayed 10 days.
I just said that. I said that to you the other day.
They're both free to stream on Vudu, apparently.
Well, I don't have Vudu, but I can sail the high seas. So you know what? I own them. I'm not going to feel bad.
You need to watch them. I mean, they are. I mean, Matt Reeves did. I mean,
Pinnacle.
the fact that he actually did something with that. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Anytime that I've watched, Rise is the first one, and then we got Dawn, and then War. Holy shit! Like I mean, Andy Serkis. I'm surprised he did not get any kind of awards recognition because, I mean, first off, the CGI is so fucking good. It's so good, and Andy Serkis acted his ass off as Caesar. I mean, Jesus Christ!
It's a weird line that the Academy has with those mocap actors. It's so weird to me. He's just a part of the movie as like Jason Clarke in the second one, or James Franco in the first one, or Woody Harrelson in the third one. It's crazy.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
God. I mean, you really gotta.
Well, I mean, remember when the CG, the guys behind the VFX for Life is Life of Pi, and they went up there and they're like, hey, listen, our whole business is going to collapse, right? Like we're winning this Academy Award, but like we're shutting our company down because we just can't go on. I mean, the Academy only really cares about the above the line people. They've always only cared about that. And you know what, the 10 million views they got during this year was such an eye opener to them, and I'm like, good.
Yes.
I 100% agree with that.
Fuck all those people. Because when I was in LA, I used to work for a place called Mark's Garden in Sherman Oaks, which was the flower shop to the stars. It's like every day Kris Jenner would call in, and she's a very unpleasant woman to deal with. But these guys also provided all of the flowers for the Oscars. So you would hear a bunch of stuff from the people that worked there, and it's just the most like vain, vapid shit. And it's like, as much as I love the industry, that side of it, I just hate.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, no, burn the Oscars down. No one gives a shit. Who wants to Nomadland? Has any of you guys seen Nomadland?
No, I have not.
Not
Yeah,
even remotely.
Do you want to see a movie about a woman working at Amazon during an economic downturn?
Very, very dreary watch.
Yeah, it's like it's like it won. Then you see the Eternals trailer, and it's like, well, that didn't wow anyone. So I don't know.
The cinematography maybe looked all right. I was like, you know what? But I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm like, all right.
Well, they're doing everything they can to undersell that movie, right? They are. Even was it Gemma Chan the other day did an interview, and she had said like, oh, like we shot everything like at the magic hour.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we shot everything in camera, and it's like, are you a fucking Marvel movie or are you a fucking like, you know, French 80s indie film?
Well, I think that's how they're trying to sell it like that because I saw that too. I saw that quote too, where like, oh, we shot it like an indie movie, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not.
Oh, that was recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was just the other day.
That was like yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, you don't have to shoot it like an indie movie. I mean, look at something like Daredevil. It's a TV show, but it was shot really well.
Yeah.
You know, you can make it work. It just like that to me is not an asset for what you would expect out of a CDM.
They're trying to capitalize on the Academy Award.
They're not though, because because she won Best Director and Best Picture, and the next day there was not a peep about the Eternals coming out of Marvel. You had peak entertainment industry coverage.
That's true.
Well, that's
and
because
there
of
was
what
nothing.
happened with her in her home country.
Yeah, well, I think that's a part of it too. But even when they put out the trailer a few weeks later, her name was not attached to it.
Yeah, for that reason, because they don't want to. Because she upset the motherland. Wherever she's from.
God forbid you criticize China.
Yeah. Oh, is that what did it?
That's what did it.
Yeah.
Because
Hong Kong protests.
Right. She criticized China. Yeah, you can't do that, guys. I'm just saying, China. When I talk about it, you know, people go crazy. Yeah,
That's actually really good. It's one thing to say. It's one thing to say, "Hey, listen, we took inspiration from indie films." It's another thing to say we shot this like an indie film, because the one person that's going to tell you we didn't shoot this like an indie film is Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
No, he even came out there and he tried selling it. There was that interview with him, I think, right around the Oscars time, where he was like, he's like, oh, she shot all of this like in camera stuff, and it just looked really good, and it was such a weird thing for Feige to say. Yeah, and I'm like, she shot what, a fucking sunset?
But was that more about Marvel Studios, or was that more about campaigning for his director who was nominated?
I think it's campaigning for. I think he was trying to upsell Chloe Zhao, because I think she's a bit of a hard sell. I think
she's a hard sell.
After Kathy Yan was heavily pushed by DC for Birds of Prey, and that movie crashed and burned. And then the fallout from that film, and I think if there's certain elements of who people pick as directors now that are going to get kind of looked at, and if they don't kind of nail it, it can be used against them. I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah,
but people are very fickle on the internet, as we all know.
Yeah, it's a fine line, because I agree. The Kathy On point's a really good point, and it's sad that it is such a good point. Given the two directors,
Yeah.
What are you gonna do though?
Well, I mean, like the thing is like, a lot of people out there, I think, are just kind of, they're tired of how, and I know, Skyler, like you run your website, and I think you guys do a really good job over there, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
But like, there's so many people that just run clickbait nonsense, and it's designed to evoke an emotion.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Not like we on YouTube never do it ourselves, obviously. Yeah. But I think just the constant bombardment of it, and the way that it gets in the algorithm, like I'll look on like Google News on my phone, and I'll look on Facebook News on my phone, and I just like roll my eyes at the amount of times I see "We Got This Covered" or Cosmic Book News, or like any like giant freaking robot. Comics. Yeah, bounding into comics and whatnot, and it's all of that stuff that's designed to be emotionally laden clickbait.
Yeah,
and how people now just react to that, and I do it too, so I can't really complain, but it becomes, I think, this more of a systemic issue, and then people get a narrative in their head because it gets placed there, and then it gets repeated. Those lies get repeated.
Yeah, they weaponize it.
Oh yeah, especially when it comes out of certain parts of a fandom. And I'll say it. Look at Doomcock. Like Doomcock will weaponize everything he can do Oh no, come on. He got called out last week. It's okay.
Well, I know.
Game.
There was a lot of drama. I was like,
oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was like, I don't need Viagra ever in my life. I can go back and watch that clip and it just gets me. I'm kidding.
You're not.
I know I am, but not well, yeah. Anyway,
all kidding aside,
it's
a great metaphor.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just watching someone whose own echo chamber is just so sick of his shit, and they all called him out, and not one of them defended him, even his best friend, shows you that it's like they're tired of that kind of nonsense. But that kind of nonsense is what gets run. You know, like you look at like InsideTheMagic.net, which is like a Disney blog, and like this girl named Rebecca Barton will run every Doomcock rumor, and then that gets sourced along with other people. It's just such a fucking mess.
It's so sad because it never used to be that way. Because that's a great. And so Inside the Magical, you've already mentioned it, Matt. They pick up We Got This Covered, Doomcock. They'll pick up Giant Freaking Robot, and Inside the Magic used to be like the pinnacle of trusted theme park news. And then the guy that used to run that site sold it off to this guy who was friends with We Got This Covered writers and staff, and just started spewing any Disney and rumor that they could think of, whether it's Disney or Harry Potter. Or, it was so.
And
sad.
there's the WDW forums now. Like people, I've seen like reports come out where they're like, oh, someone on the WDW forums made this comment about like Galaxy's Edge, and I'm like, and I'll go and I'll look at the comment, like, and it's like, what the fuck is this?
The guy that was on those WDW has so Disney nerds status with this kind of stuff, but the guy that was on WDW forums who would run that kind of stuff joined a website called Pirates and Princesses and runs all that nonsense on.
Isn't that Clownfish? That's Neon, right? Neon and Geeky Sparkle, I think. Oh my!
Literally, you guys sound like
no. This look. The thing is, this rabbit hole runs fucking deep.
It's
right. It runs deep.
Theories.
I mean, Sparkle Fingers. Who?
And it's sad because they got a big following that supports them, and they're all wearing their tinfoil hats.
People, I've realized now, and I've actually called out Doomcock so many times, and when I get into it with this fan base, it literally boils down to this. They tell me, I don't care if he's lying. He gives me hope.
It's satire. It's satire.
Not even that. Like they'll fall back on it's just entertainment, bro. Like whatever. Eat my ass.
I mean, yeah.
But they'll tell me like it's how he makes them feel. He gives them hope that George Lucas is going to come back and retcon the Rise of Skywalker.
I know. I actually made that joke earlier. I'm like, how many? I mean, every other week, Kathleen Kennedy is being fired.
Yeah.
I know. Like how many times now is she been fired? Yeah. Which is why on her birthday I did a whole stream. I just said happy birthday, Kathy Kennedy. just to piss off those guys.
George Lucas sold his company for $4 billion to sit back, relax on a beach with his mimosas or whatever the hell he's drinking, only for him to want to come back and save a company he has nothing to do with.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
As long as his name is somewhere within the company, he's making money and doesn't need to save squat.
It's not even that. It's not even that. Like half of the sale of Lucasfilm was in Disney shares. So like outside of Bob Iger, I think he has the highest amount of personal shares.
Yep,
of course.
And so it's like he's making money off of this regardless. Every time the share increases and it's doing well. You know, he's making a lot of cash off of this. He doesn't, I'm sure he gives a shit, but he also doesn't care to come out and say they're like white slavers because it doesn't matter. He can say whatever he wants. He's not going to lose a stock point.
Yeah, you're right.
It can only grow for him, especially with the way the trajectory is for Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I mean, right now, like they're firing on all cylinders, in my opinion. And
Jesus Christ.
No, the Bad Batch is like a legitimately excellent show. And
I haven't been hearing a lot about it though.
I mean, I think it's because like it's I don't know. A lot of people I know aren't talking about it, but I know people are watching it.
So the people that on my team that have seen it swear by it. They say it's the best thing since the Clone Wars in terms of the animated stuff. Yeah. And you look at the Bad Batch, nothing but good word of mouth. No one's really bashing the Bad Batch. The Mandalorian's a hit. You get 3 or 4 spin-offs in the works. You know, it's.
But remember, guys, it's woke because Gina Carano won't be in it anymore.
Yeah. She's a shining star in Ben Shapiro's new movie.
Oh well, you know what
my
cracks up about that
God,
is
I
like
can't even believe it.
do you know how much money she was making per episode on the series?
Was it 400,000 or was it
No,
less?
it was less. It was on average between $25,000 and $50,000 an episode. She only appeared in like 3 episodes in season 1 and like I think 4 episodes in season 2, and it was always on the back half of the season. So she, you know, she barely showed up at all for any of season 2 outside of the last couple episodes, and that was episodes 7 and 8, and then she showed up one more time in the beginning of it, and that was really about it. Like there wasn't much with her character. So they could easily replace her with somebody else, like bring in, you know, Hera Sedula, which is what I've been hearing the reports coming out about that.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that's going to be, but it's like, that's cool.
Listen, whatever political spectrum anyone lives on, she's a bad actress.
She is a bad actress. I'm glad you said it.
She's not the best.
I've seen Haywire, and I've seen her in the Fast and the Furious movie. Like,
I liked her in Deadpool though. I thought she played that role pretty well.
Because that character was her, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that was her.
Yeah,
that was her.
I didn't mind the character more than the dialogue from the character. You know, when she was fighting Colossus, I didn't hate Angel Dust. I just thought, you know, the dialogue she had, and maybe that's not even her fault. Maybe I'm just being too harsh, and maybe it was the writers on Deadpool. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, I mean, like looking at like when she was in Fast and Furious 6, again, it was more of a secondary character. And she was just there to fight, like Ronda Rousey popping up in Fast 7 to fight Michelle Rodriguez and lose, which made, well, actually looking at Ronda Rousey's career since then, it makes a little bit of sense.
That's true.
But it's like, yeah, so she wasn't there, you know. I'm just going to say it. I'll catch some flack for it. Gina Carano is like China if China didn't die and went into acting.
Oh,
like that is and like not the adult stuff she got into, but just like in general.
This guy's mentioning China again. I don't even know what's going on. Too much China talk. What's too much?
Yeah. But it's like, you know, you don't go and you look at like, you know, when you look at someone like, let's say The Rock. The Rock is I don't think he's a movie star, but I think he's the world's greatest entertainer. Whereas Batista has the potential to be a movie star because he takes the craft seriously, and Cena just likes to be the jokester, which is fine.
Fucking dude, there's something about John Cena that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know what I don't know what's. I mean, like, I mean, I'm okay with them. I'm not like saying like anything that's with him is like, I'm not gonna watch. But there's something about him that's just, yeah, he's totally on a different kind of. I don't know. When it comes to the Dwayne Johnson, Batista, and then Cena. I mean, I think Batista is definitely taking his craft seriously. We've heard that many times. I think he's trying to really like, hey, I want to like not just be looked at as another wrestler who's trying to be an action star. Dwayne Johnson, yes, he's like, yeah, like you said, entertainer, but I do think he's like the ultimate movie star. I really do think like
I think he's the last, like you see, you took the words out of my mouth. The last movie star, like action star.
Is he?
Like,
I think so.
He's the Arnold. He's the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the 80s.
But Schwarzenegger could lead. But the Rock movies, they'll do well with him in the lead. But he needs an ensemble for it to do very well. So like, think about it. So before Fast and Furious 5, before Fast 5, what was he doing? He was doing like Be Cool. Or that was a smaller role back in 2005. The Tooth Fairy.
I'll admit, in this, you can make this argument for any of the wrestling actors. Their early stuff is just god awful. Like,
I do think the Rundown was amazing, though.
Oh fuck yeah!
Where was the sequel to the Rundown? God damn it!
The Rundown is like under fucking rated. That was
I can't argue with that. But then you can make that argument with like certain movies in early careers. But what I'm trying to say is,
I get what you're trying to say. Yeah,
his early stuff was just like the Tooth Fairy. You say what you will about the game plan. You know, Scorpion King,
Gridiron Gang.
Scorpion King is the
Paul Smith in the chat. Yeah, it was actually Rumble in the Jungle. That's what they originally called the Rundown. Yes, he said Welcome to the Jungle. It was actually, I thought it was initially called Rumble. I remember seeing the poster. It was actually called Rumble in the Jungle, I think, or maybe it was Welcome in the Jungle. I don't know. I remember they actually
used it for Jumanji.
Yeah, they
okay.
changed
Welcome to the Jungle, or is that what it was?
Was it? Was it
I don't know.
okay? I thought it was Rumble in the Jungle for a minute there.
With The Rock though, I just think that people like you're right, Matt. I think there's an ensemble around him.
Yeah.
But I think it's become like, okay, if The Rock's in it, there's billion-dollar franchise potential associated.
Well,
with
the key is potential. So, I mean, if you think about it, though, it's like, okay, so Jumanji already had the pre-built-in fan base. They were able to capitalize on that to push the first movie to do very well, like 970 million worldwide, and then but that followed The Last Jedi, and I think it was slingshotted because of a lot of the blowback to The Last Jedi. That's my take on it.
I think that's a good point, but I also think that when they announced a new Jumanji movie with The Rock, I think most people, and I could be wrong, maybe I'm not searching far enough, but I think most people are like, really, why are we doing another Jumanji if it's not going to have Robin Williams in it?
Yep.
But granted, I could be wrong. I get what you're saying.
Well, no, there's a lot. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not like, I always get attacked by wrestling fans every time I say this about The Rock, because people think I'm hating on him. I'm not. Like, I genuinely think he's one of the most charismatic people in the entire world.
He is an entertainer.
Yeah,
for sure. You're right.
I'll watch him in anything.
Steroid. Like, so that's why they brought him into Fast and the Furious.
But let's
downturn.
Yeah, but then look at this too, right? So kind of go back here. So you figure, go back to like, I would say maybe 2008. He was in Get Smart, right? As you know, kind of playing the same character that he played in the other guys. But then, you know, go past Fast 5. He joined Journey to the Mysterious Island, so a franchise already in the works. Then he went on to go do G.I. Joe Retaliation the next year, which was also a franchise in the works. He tried branching out on his own with Hercules as the main star for Brett Ratner's bomb in the summer of 2014.
Ooh, Brett Ratner.
Thought it was
Then
so much better.
Then he was in Furious 7 only for a few minutes. And the beginning and ending of that movie.
He had that great scene where he ripped off his cast and he had the minigun.
Oh yeah, no, again, I loved it. And then him fighting Jason Statham was badass.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that. But then he did San Andreas, which came out the same year, 2015, and that did well. And they keep talking about San Andreas 2, but it's been at this point 6 years, so I don't think it's going to happen. Then he did Central Intelligence, which is with Kevin Hart, kicking off that buddy comedy duo. And people were like, and I think they're talking about doing another one, but following from that, they did Skyscraper with Ross and Thurber. Yeah. And then they're doing Red Notice for Netflix, which is like a $225 million movie with Gal Gadot as well as Ryan Reynolds. But I mean, if you look at what he's in, it's like Baywatch is meaning to kick off something with that one.
Ooh, that was so bad. That was
Rampage.
So bad.
Right, Rampage came out 2018.
I loved Rampage. I'll admit, maybe not the box office glory.
Sure. I mean, and it's not even like, you know, but it's like it came and it went, and then he did Skyscraper, which was Die Hard in a fucking office building, right?
And they San Andreas. It felt like San Andreas, Skyscraper, Rampage were back to back to back to back, and they crossed, and they all became forgotten.
You know, and then he's got like what? Then they did Hobbs and Shaw, which didn't, you know, it did well, but I didn't
do Fast and the Furious.
I thought it was going to crack a bill. I really did. It didn't. I was surprised. And then it's Jumanji: The Next Level, which ended up not doing anywhere near as much. Well, it did about almost $200 million less than the first movie. Right?
Was that 2019?
That was 2019. Yeah.
I don't know if it had anything to do with Rise of Skywalker.
I don't think it came out. No, it came out before Rise of Skywalker. It dropped. I think it dropped right before Rise of Skywalker did.
So about one of the best The Rock movies is Gridiron
Moana?
Gang.
Gridiron Gang.
That's actually a really good movie.
But that dropped also in 2006, right around the same time he did Southland Tales. You know,
that was bad. I did not.
That was look. Richard Kelly is not a good filmmaker. I said it. Okay, Donnie Darko sucks. I said it.
Does suck. Yeah.
Donnie Darko is boring.
It's so bad.
The Box. I liked The Box because I thought it was an interesting take on the Twilight Zone episode, but it also still ran about 45 minutes too long. Yeah. And it was like,
my friend is like obsessed with that film.
So I mean, look, The Rock has got a fantastic. He's got a good resume of content here, and you can see that he's always kind of been working himself upwards, but it's always been attaching himself to other franchises. I mean, I'm sorry.
He's a good businessman. That's what he's trying.
Fair.
It's a good, well, it's a fine. Yeah, you want to argue a good businessman. I view it as shaky. I view it as shaky because it's kind of like you can tell he's always looking for the next thing, which is fine. But it's like we're at a point now where Anthony Mackie, I think, said it best. There are no more movie stars. It's just actors playing roles. So, but with The Rock, it is different because you are right, Skyler. Like he plays himself in like every movie.
Yeah.
So when you go and you see
Yeah.
in 2022, when you see DC's League of Super Pets and he's voicing Crypto, oh, it's going to be the same kind of attitude he's
that
bringing
was
to
a
Black
weird
Adam.
project for him. I mean, I'm cool with it. Like I have a 5-year-old son that's going to be cool with it. But well, so let me ask you this: when you think there are no movie stars, what do you think of a person that should be a movie star? Like who's a movie star right now?
I don't think they exist anymore because who's putting butts in seats for just being an actor?
I mean,
And not even I don't think The Rocket counts because a lot of it's been the ensemble stuff.
but when you mean, and I'm just asking, I'm not arguing.
Yeah,
with you at
yeah.
all. When you say butts and seats, do you mean like just bankroll and cash, or do you mean like just great content that fans and critics will go and see?
I know the obvious answer is the cash because that's what people like to bring up is that the movies have performed well with him in them. But I would argue the latter would be kind of
Cruise.
I was just gonna say.
Well, I mean,
Tom Cruise.
Cruise is good, but then again, at this point, what's his career been? And it's been Mission Impossible for the past couple years. You know, he tried branching off in 2010
he's got
with
Maverick
Night and Day.
coming out, so I mean,
You know, Top Gun Maverick, which should have already been out. They should have already just done it.
That should
and
have
I'm
been like 20 years ago.
and I'm really well. And the thing is, Joseph Kosinski, the director, I'm really excited to see what he does.
okay. What
'Cause,
about Keanu Reeves?
come on, dude. Like if it's not John Wick, it's going to be Neo or it's going to be Bill and Ted. Right. Or what was it? Johnny Silverhand from fucking Cyberpunk 2077. Like, I mean, I loved Bill and Ted. I thought the third one was excellent. I had so much fun with it.
Excellent. Yeah, it was.
I can't wait for Matrix 4, but it's like, and John Wick, but it's like, and I'll watch Keanu in just about anything. But again, Keanu is like not going to bring butts to seats unless it's something like John Wick that started off. Keep in mind, John Wick dropped in October 2014. And it was okay.
That shouldn't have been as good as it ended up being at all.
Yeah, it wasn't. And then it wasn't until it hit DVD in early 2015 where people started checking it out. And then when they released John Wick 2 in 2017, there was a big push and a lot of people came to it after then checking out John Wick on home video. So, you know, it builds up to those franchises.
So basically the shift is like what it sounds like. It's like, okay, so when movies come out, not huge right off the bat, but then there's like a, you know, a little cult following. Yeah, like John Wick. If it were like, it wasn't huge when it, you know, box office, but then everybody's like, hey, did you fucking watch this John Wick movie? Holy shit. You know? So basically that's where things are kind of. I
mean, look, yeah. I'll argue one of the worst movies that has the best marketing campaign was always Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
The first one. Now, and I'm from San Diego, and that was shot in San Diego, and none of us knew that thing was made in San Diego. We were all angry. But Oren Peli is a cool dude. But the whole point, though, is the first Paranormal Activity is mostly out of focus. It's mostly out of focus if you watch the movie. It's very simple.
Yeah, it's not that,
But the way that they marketed the movie was showing people watching it in theaters, the scares, and that prompted people to go and see it. It was enticing to them. And that
was always a big marketing thing, right? To show the fucking audience and night vision.
Yeah, because it just looks, because people want to, again, like we're voyeuristic, you know, we're very voyeuristic.
It was such a sneaky movie. They're like, it even fooled people into thinking, oh my God, this is real.
Like,
that was like their thing, you know, and then all of a sudden.
So you saw them at like the award ceremony, you're like, wait, you died at the end of that. Like,
Oh, dude, I'll tell you this. I'll be honest about this one. I believed the Blair Witch Project was real when I was like 17.
Oh, a lot of people did. I remember that. I didn't. I was like, but I remember watching it, and a lot of people were like, oh, this is fucking real. I'm like, bullshit. Are you kidding me?
What do you mean? It's a movie.
No. This is true. I will tell you guys this. This is absolutely 100% true. Right before the movie came out, I was on a Yahoo Movie Groups forum, and the movie had leaked online back in like the late 90s. So this was like a very obscure thing back then. It was
like 98 or something.
It was 99. It was July 99. And so this guy claimed to have it. and he was from Vancouver, BC. And so I'm like, I got to see this fucking movie. I can't wait. I've got to see this movie. So I created an alternate profile of a girl named Jenny. And I started like, kind of like, I don't want to say catfishing. I guess catfishing would maybe be the term.
Him.
Maybe would be the term now, but this was also a decade before catfishing was a thing. And I just kind of like, you know, I was like, hey, but here's my pitch. And this is the thing. I didn't like go like, hey, you sound cute. He, you know, it was like, hey, my cousin was Heather Donahue. We don't know what happened to her. They haven't let us see the movie yet. My family just wants to know. So I played up that I believed that it was real, and this guy was then like feeding into that.
Wow.
Oh my
and then when it came out like a couple of days, because he was going to send me a VHS copy of this thing. I had like asked my neighbor like, hey, can I use your address? And he's like, that's fine. I don't give a shit. Right. And so I was going to, you know, this guy was going to send me a VHS bootleg copy of the movie. And then he found out that it was fake, and he got real mad at me.
Oh, gosh.
I was, in my defense, I was 17 and I was a fucking moron.
17-year-old Jargo.
Hey, there's nothing wrong for catfishing to see your favorite movie content.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
You know, if I can catfish to see Dune or something, I would catfish right now.
Right.
I completely agree with you. Yeah. Give me Dune or Matrix 4 or whatever. The Suicide Squad, even shit, man.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Do you guys?
Speaking of, okay, go ahead. Ty.
I'm sorry. Do you guys? Because we were talking about The Rock. I mean, do you guys think? Because we talked about how he's looking for things to join and stuff like that. But I mean, how do you think Black Adam's going to fare amongst the DCU? Because I mean, he's very much. He's been Black Adam for what 15 years.
He's been trying to get this project.
Yeah. So I mean, this was very much his baby coming to fruition. So you know, how do you think it's going to fare? Do you think it's going to do well or?
Well, again, I mean,
how could the one thing he does good at, I should say, is over the top action franchises, and Black Adam is that kind of franchise, just over the top, you know, these characters that we've never seen before, like Atom Smasher, Dr. Fate, you know, Hawkman, the is Enchantress. I don't know the other kid. What's the chick's name that's in it? The character. I don't know. I just know that the potential's there. The Rock has had 15, 20 years to prep for this role.
Yeah.
It would be very disappointing if he slips and falls and, you know, ends up shitting the bed on this one.
Yeah. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a sleeper hit. Like, I think it's going to be the next big thing. I do. For some reason, I just get this feeling from it where it's going to like, it's going to be the next, like, talked about.
Well,
I have a hot take on this one.
Okay.
Let me guess, you think it's going to be bad.
No, I'm hoping it's good, but it's all dependent on if the Flash is good. And because that's going to be the lead into it. And
wait, the Flash is coming out before?
I think the Flash is coming out before, isn't it?
I don't know.
I thought the Flash comes out like.
I know they're both filming right now, but
let me see here. Hold on.
They're both in production, so it's going to be real close.
It comes out July 29th, 2022, and I think the Flash is April.
Okay.
So
what's going to be interesting about it, but what Black Adam, you know, when we first heard about it, it's like, oh yeah, Black Adam. Obviously, we know the character, we know where that's all coming from. Maybe it's gonna like tie into Shazam, but then all of a sudden we hear about, oh, well, we're gonna have the Justice Society of America.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna probably play heavily into that. Like, hey, we got this, you know, we got this right here, Justice Society of America. We got other characters, blah blah blah. Too. I don't know.
My hot take is I'm more excited for Shazam: Fury of the Gods. For me, I think Zachary Levi is one of the most likable actors, you know, working today. He's so likable. He loves the character. I think the kid that plays Asher Angel,
he's good.
Young, I think he's awesome. I like the cast they're putting around him. Like, I love Lucy Liu. I think Rachel Zegler is going to be a star.
Yeah.
You got Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is just built to be just exciting, and I thoroughly enjoyed the first one, and I just think this could be bigger. And I'm more excited and interesting to see Shazam than I am Black Adam.
Yeah. Oh, I just want.
I like the Rock.
I was wrong. The Black Adam comes out before the Flash. So
No, I
my
was about to
mistake.
say,
on that one,
it
yeah.
didn't sound.
I think I got Shazam and the Flash mixed up.
Mm.
Maybe because of the big, lightning bolt on their chest. It's kind of
Yeah,
confusing.
a lot of
We need
lightning.
Black Adam to be good to be excited for the Flash.
Yeah. Well, the Flash is going to be a tough sell. Like that's going to be a tough sell.
To Snyder fans.
Well, when you're a movie
everyone.
that's shuffled through like 7, 8, 9, 10 directors
Yeah.
and like
Well-
80 release dates.
Oh, I know. But then after watching Ricky Famuyiwa on The Mandalorian and what he was able to create with some of those episodes, and you're like, how the fuck did you drop him?
Yeah.
Like the dude.
They
he's
had
great.
a bunch of really good. I liked the idea of the game night director. I liked game night. I think the game night directors would have been interesting. Goldstein and the other guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, because they also
I-
they wrote Homecoming.
Yeah, and I liked Lord and Miller would have been interesting. There's a million different directors. I can't even keep track.
I'll tell you this: when they said
Rick,
Seth.
awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Seth Graham. Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck
That guy blocked me. That guy blocked me on Twitter.
Wait,
Seth Graham Smith.
Yeah, because like he was shitting on Ghostbusters or something like that, or he was trying to support 2016 Ghostbusters. I was like, eh. And then he was like going after people that go like, well, it's a franchise. I'm like, well, it is a franchise. It's got fucking, movies, comic books, cartoons, shows. And then he blocked me because I was like, hey, it is a franchise. He said it wasn't a franchise or something like that because it was only one movie. I'm like, yeah, but there was also cartoons, shows, books, all this stuff.
Well,
That's
yeah.
technically a
what was the
franchise.
last thing he did? I can't remember what he did.
No.
Was it like the last thing I remember him being attached? I think he wrote the script for like Dark Shadows. Is one of the last thing I remember because I know he did a lot of script work. Maybe he went to TV. Oh, hold on, I'll Google him real quick.
Seth Graham Smith.
Seth-
He wasn't the
Yeah.
Baywatch director, was he? Or was he
No.
No.
No, the same guys who wrote Baywatch also did Freddy versus Jason.
Nah. I like
They are really nice guys, though.
They are.
really
I
nice.
follow them on Twitter, and they answer all my questions, which is fantastic.
Oh, they're so nice.
I like Freddy.
Baywatch wasn't so bad.
I thought it was entertaining, but Baywatch was horrible.
Let's see here. He is what's he director? He wrote. Okay, Seth Graham Smith wrote Dark Shadows and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which makes sense.
Oh God, that movie was
Oh
terrible.
God.
He also wrote the Lego Batman movie, which was god awful.
Yeah.
What?
Okay,
People
sorry. Let me.
love it. People love it, but I
the last
didn't like
act of
it.
that movie was like what I feel DC is going to do to to the multiverse, where it has no rhyme or reason. It's like, hey, remember this random thing that's not related? Throw it the fuck in. Look at Space Jam. Space Jam: A New Legacy looks like the last act of fucking Lego Batman.
Oh,
No. Space Jam, the last or whatever it's called, the new movie looks awful,
yeah.
and I was so
bad.
excited for it. It looks the trailers look so, and I don't hate LeBron James, but he doesn't look like a better actor in this movie than Michael Jordan did in the first one. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because
you're cool in Trainwreck, but you don't look good in Space Jam at all.
Yeah, because in Trainwreck he had like fucking like what 6 minutes of like screen time. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's working
Yeah.
on Bill Hader. Here he's the shiny.
yeah, Bill Hader. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Now you're
if they brought Bill Hader in to be the Bill Murray of the Space Jam, it could work a little bit. I'd be okay with that.
That's what was good about the first Space Jam was like, hey, we need somebody who's got some comedic chops who can act across from Michael Jordan, Bill Murray. There you go. And that's how that worked.
Well, plus there was a good story there because the story was, the Toons needed to fight the monsters
yes.
in order to save their world. And they got in, and it tied into Michael Jordan's transition back from baseball to back to the NBA.
I love how
it all kind of came together.
This one's just like, oh, my son got sucked into a Don Cheadle led Matrix. What do they call it? They called it the Warnerverse or
good lord.
something.
Yeah, and now
Right.
we're gonna Ready Player One. This whole
Yeah,
movie.
Yes,
it
because
looks
they keep putting all
identical to
these,
Ready Player One.
Yeah, because they keep putting all these like characters in the background that
Just
Well, no,
just
not
give me your
that.
live action Iron Giant movie, please.
Well, yeah, because
Point,
it wasn't the Iron Giant the same model that they used in Ready Player One,
Ready
and then
Player
also
One.
when it shows him falling through like the multiverse or whatever, and you see the different worlds, they're all planets, just like the opening of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
So
right.
is it
And
just
I
they were
love
like,
Ready
well,
Player One.
Oh,
Me
same,
too.
same here,
Huge
same here,
Ready
same
Player
here.
One guy.
Yeah, Ready Player One's great.
I love the book and I adore the movie, and I will fight people on that constantly.
Yes.
Yep. I'm
But it's-
with you there.
I'm with you on
It's
that.
but it's so crazy how like this movie just feels like it's just corporate.
Oh,
it just
totally.
feels corporate.
Totally. They just want to cash in on some LeBron James before he fucking retires, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Lakers fucking petered out, I guess,
Yep.
like that ain't gonna help.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, good job, dude. Like, it's like, yeah, the Lakers are already out of the playoffs, and you got a movie coming out. I mean, that would have, yeah.
Yeah, and then he has his production company. So you know that big. He didn't come to LA because of the Lakers. He came to LA. His production company. This Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
is where he wants to
we
be.
all
It's
knew
obvious.
that. We all knew.
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah. It wasn't about like, you know, oh, I want to come to this team now. It was all about coming to LA and making movies and shit. Yeah.
and that's where the money is for a lot of these guys post their career.
yeah.
It was smart. I'm not gonna say that it was not smart. Yeah, smart. I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, when I see a new trailer, new poster came out today, I'm like, I don't fucking care. I'll watch it probably maybe if I'm, you know,
bored or
with a bunch of people drunk
I would-
in a party or something. You know?
I wouldn't be. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna watch Space Jam. I want to watch Space Jam. This is my cup of tea right here. Like it. You know, the first one didn't age well, but it's still, you know, I can go back and watch it and find something about it that I love.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go into this one, expect the worst, come out thinking it's just mediocre.
I mean, maybe we'll get lucky and it will have like a nice, you know, like. But then they also switched directors like halfway through, right?
God damn it, they did that
they did,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, they switched directors out, and that's when they cut out the Pepe Le Pew scene, which got a lot of people pretty pissed off
That's so
because they had
stupid.
filmed it. It's like it's a scene
Doesn't
about
make sense.
it's a scene about saying like, hey, consent is key and don't be a dick, Pepe. And
Yeah.
then it's, you know, and then that's
But
what
he's
it was.
problematic. So let's.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so tired of that shit.
So am I. It's like, yeah. God.
Do you know how hard
but
it
at
is
the same
being
time,
a,
in the background, they got the fucking whatchamacallit guys from
oh
Clockwork
yeah, the
Orange.
Droogs, man.
Yes, they got them in there. Like, do you realize how bad those guys were in that movie? Hello. Yeah.
Like,
Cut out the cartoon skunk. Who
Yeah,
else
but
you
leaving
want
the
in, like,
actual
this
rapists.
cartoon cat?
That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing. But yeah, you had these guys who fucking literally like were. Oh God, I know. I hate it.
I guarantee there's going to be even those kinds of characters in the background somewhere. Someone's going to point out, there's someone even worse in the background.
Oh,
And
it's
then
going
everyone's
to
gonna
happen.
get mad because the skunk isn't in it because he can't get, you know, we can't watch the skunk get the cat, the cartoon cat. You know?
Yeah, because you know he goes after cartoon cats and tries to kiss them. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's not going to kill me to like not see the scene. I just find like their reasoning for it, like especially when they explained that it was about consent. I'm like, okay, you're kind of like missing out on a teachable moment here, which is something that I think a lot of kids maybe need to hear.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
you know, and this is why like I hate being like the lefty that I am, because I read like all these like lefty blogs that just want to like cancel or punish culture everything, and it's like, stop it, you're making me hate you.
yeah.
My own, like, I could care less if the character's in there or not. Like, I can understand a teeny tiny bit like why. My issue was was it the New York Times? Who was the one that really came out and fired on all cylinders? Like, their biggest reasoning, and I saw it on Twitter, and he was going after people, was like, this is going to teach kids to do these things. I'm like, the cartoon skunk is going to teach the kid to do this.
To like
Try to a cat or to a human. Like,
yeah.
I can swear that character's been around for like 60,
These kids
70
have
years.
parents too, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
never
I
grew
think
up wanting to do that because I saw a cartoon skunk do it.
I watch Pepe
you
Le
know,
Pew cartoons all the time,
I
but I
mean-
wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna approach him and no.
What a joke of a movie, man. What a joke.
It really is. I mean,
Oh God.
Pepe
I mean,
Le Pew.
ever since its announcement, I was like, I don't care. I really don't care about a Space Jam.
Couldn't care less, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember when and this was like 25 years ago, when the Space Jam sequel was supposed to be called Spy Jam with Jackie Chan?
What? No.
What? No.
Mhm.
No.
Tell us more.
No. Let's hear about this.
Okay, this is what's funny. It was in so I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm the Disney nerd. So I remember I would go to the grocery store in the 90s all the time, in the early 2000s, and on the magazine shelves there was magazines called Disney Adventures. And
Yes.
you would pull out Disney Adventures, I would get it, you could subscribe, and it was just like little tiny magazine, and it would tell you like upcoming movies. There was interviews. Like there was one from like 1994 where Disney Adventures interviewed George Lucas, and they had asked him, hey, when you're done with episodes 1, 2, and 3 in like 5 years, are you going to do 7, 8, 9? And he said, ask me when I'm done with episodes 1, 2, 3. It was so cool. It would tell you everything. But when Space Jam came out and it became the cult and financial success it was, 2 years later, Disney Adventures interviewed someone at Warner Brothers, and they said, we're working on a Space Jam sequel with Jackie Chan called Spy Jam that existed within that same. It was basically a direct sequel to Space Jam. And then that fell apart. And then 3 years later, the idea was to call it Skate Jam with Tony Hawk. And then that fell apart.
Wow.
It was wild. And this was all in Disney Adventures magazine.
So
that had
pretty much
nothing to
they
do
were
with
just
Warner
trying
Brothers.
to capitalize on who was
Yeah.
like, hot. At
You
the
wa-
moment.
Yeah.
I remember the weirdest interview I read
that's
in
crazy.
Disney Adventures, and they were talking about a Married with Children movie
Oh,
in
wow.
Disney Adventures, because I would get it every
What?
month. I would pick it up at the checkout stand. I
That was
had
the
a subs-
magazine to have.
Can you
Oh my!
imagine that?
I remember when they added
Married
bone
with
to
Children.
it. Like
No, ma'am. Yeah.
it was no, they were like talking about doing a movie back then, and then I just
Bone,
recently
crazy. Oh my gosh.
started watching the DuckTales, the reboot, and like how they're kind of tying in the other properties a little bit into that. And like that's pretty great. Like I'm loving the hell out of that. So yeah, I'm like, bring back Disney Adventures, bring back Disney Afternoons. Like I'll do it.
Yeah, they got the Darkwing Duck now. It sucks DuckTales ends because DuckTales is actually a really good reboot. But you have Darkwing Duck. I don't know how it'll be with Seth Rogen. I don't know if I like that fit.
Wait, is he voicing DW?
Jim Cummings is supposed to be
Okay.
voicing him. Yeah, I think
Okay.
Seth Rogen is just strictly writing. But Seth Rogen and don't take this to the bank. This is just what I heard. The live action Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie that they're doing with Andy Samberg and John Mulaney as Chippendale. Seth Rogen was previously announced a cameo. What I heard is he's cameoing as Monterey Jack.
Huh.
Which was
Interesting.
Jim Cummings. So
I mean, like that's gonna be. I don't know. Like I've been watching, like the DuckTales show, and then also the Big Hero 6 show that they did following the movie, which is also really good.
Is it?
And then
yes, it is.
it is.
It's
It continues
directly-
from the movie.
Because I
Yeah.
love the movie. I love the movie.
It has all the voice actors with the exception of T.J. Miller.
Yeah.
But this was before his
Oh,
bomb
and,
situation.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy who voices him actually does a good job. And Damon Wayans Jr., he's not in it. It's
Okay.
Carrie Payton, who's obviously Cyborg in Teen Titans.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was
Wow.
wrong on the. Yeah,
Nice.
thanks for correcting me. But it's really good. Like it's a solid show.
They're the only, but you're right. They're the only two that are the rest is everyone else is the same. You're right. You're
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
right.
I love
But
Big
it,
Hero 6,
but
yeah.
Disney just can't. They canceled that too just recently, and they decided to put out this Baymax Shorts, which is like 2 minutes, and it's got 4 to 8 minutes of fucking credits at the end of that damn thing, and it's
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know.
they're doing their own Baymax show now, which will be more along the lines of the animation from the movies. So you have that.
I mean,
I don't,
yeah.
I don't
I
know
don't
if
know.
that's going to be the same. I don't know if it's just Baymax and Hero. I don't know if even Hero's in it. I have to imagine he is because Ryan Potter likes working with the company. I don't know.
I think, yeah, I'm hoping that they end up doing something well with that. I just get like, this is one of the reasons why I don't watch a lot of animated shows anymore, because you get into it and then it's like, oh yeah, no, here's like a couple seasons and then it's done. But then when you're a kid, you don't realize that, like what was it? How many of those shows just ran for like 2 seasons?
Right.
And then they had like 40, 50 episodes, and that ends up being like
Batman the animated series. There's literally like 60 something episodes in the first season.
Yeah.
And then they did a second season, and then they started changing everything to like, oh, Batman and Robin adventures, and then it started swapping, and then all of a sudden it was done, and then it went to Batman Beyond. And then it was like, but at the same time, revisiting that, because I do a stream now about it, I was like, wow, there's like literally in the first season, there's like 64 episodes in the first season. I'm like, it seems like it went on for years, but it didn't. It was just it's crazy.
Yeah, I will say this, because I do have to go. I have a stream I'm starting in like a minute.
Take off
because I do a nightly stream, so I can hear the sound of my own voice to kind of comment on some of the chat that's in there. Hey, what can I say? It sounds wonderful, and it's bassy as hell.
There it is.
But I will say this though, with Seth Rogen's involvement, if it's from a producer or a storytelling perspective, I think he's proven himself with Invincible and The Boys and Priest, Preacher. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's done a lot where he has kind of established this nerd cred, and I'm willing to see where he takes it. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. So I think that's going to be fine. But yeah, I mean, in the meantime, like there's a lot coming down the pipeline, a lot to be excited about. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And he's got Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles coming out. That's going to be interesting.
And listen, like the way I feel about Seth Rogen is the way a lot of people feel about Kevin Smith. I think Seth Rogen is he's hitting the nail on the head when it comes to doing these nerd or pop culture related like stuff that we enjoy, and he hasn't done me wrong yet. I loved Preacher. I was kind of sad when it didn't get after the whole second season, they kind of did some things that religious people were not in favor of. But they had like Jesus, it was like with hookers and stuff. It was just different, and
it's wonderful.
It was wonderful. It really was.
I mean, if you don't he hung out with Mary Magdalene. If you don't think he was getting a solid rub and tug every once in a while, all right, like he's a human, he's a man, he's got urges. He's gonna be like, so listen, like I know what you do and you know what I do, but if I just look away and I close my eyes real hard, we can make this work. Yeah. And then where do you think the Shroud of Turin was? It was a cum rag. Anyway, but
then the boys. The Boys is just literally one of the best things. Like it's probably my favorite show that's on right now. Like that's active right now. The Boys.
You brought up Invincible. I was late to the party on that, and I adored that. I thought that was awesome.
I binge watched that the night of the fucking season finale. I was like, all right, I'm gonna see what this is about, and
I played catch up all week, and I got to that season finale, and it hit that subway scene, and my jaw hit the floor. And I'm like, this just went to places that you never would expect things to go, but it's great. But anyway, I got to bounce, guys. It was a good chat with everybody.
All right, man.
Thanks for having me on, Dave, and I'll talk to you guys.
Thanks for joining, man. Oh wow, he joined.
That was really quick. He was like, goddamn sentence. Oh man. But Invincible was. I mean, I'm not a huge animated guy. I really am not. It's just not my thing. And I was blown away by it though. By the realism.
Yeah, I mean, when it came to Invincible, like I kept seeing people talk about it, and then when it came to that Thursday when the season finale was going to be premiering, I went, okay, it's time for me to just like join. Like, let me just see what this is all about. And like the first episode was very run by the numbers. Like, okay, he's a kid of a superhero. Okay, this, that, and this. All right. Yeah, it was almost like, all right, why is everybody? I questioned it. I went, why is everybody raving about this? There's nothing really special. And then that last scene, when fucking Omni-Man just runs fucking train. Killed everybody. I went, oh, that's what this whole thing's about. Okay, I get it now. Yeah.
Because I feel like that first episode was very misleading in the sense that it opens up and you're like, oh, cool. It's kind of be like the DC animated stuff. Yeah. It's just run of the mill animation. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh shit. No, this is not what I thought it was. And it was like, but even down to the, like he just said, the subway scene, or when Omni-Man is
was,
like, if you look the coherent like the consistency of it. Omni-Man has a black eye after getting his eyes gouged for the whole next episode. Like the continuity of it is so
It's great.
done so well. And then the subway scene, like it shows like the real destructive like nature of what that scenario is like if he's putting another superhero is Invincible through a subway cart, the destruction that would incur is unreal. But they showed it and I was just like, this is amazing. This is amazing.
I know that scene right there. I mean, that was probably the most that was the most shocking scene right there when he just fucking I mean, I just remember going, oh my god. He's just like holding him up to that and just like, everybody's just blood. It's like, holy
you
god.
Care for that guy? Oh, okay. Let me just murder him real quick. I was like, oh my god, do you think they'll tone it down for
fuck no, they're gonna
not in the animated, but the live action.
I don't know how they're gonna pull that off live action.
Me either. I really don't.
Are they doing? Am I off? Are they doing live action?
I haven't heard.
Rumor has it is that that's the next step.
I haven't heard anything. But
that'd be wild.
I mean, eventually they're probably gonna try. And now, like, hey, if they can pull it off.
What do you mean? Robert Kirkman said that he wanted to do it live action.
Did he? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
we're not crazy. Okay, but it's.
I'd be cool. I'd be cool with it.
It'll be years down the road, of course.
Definitely, because they're gonna tell the animated story. And then go from there. But I mean, some of these the plots and like the two, like there's just a lot of stuff going on there that's like, I don't know, like could it work live action? I don't know.
You know what? If they're willing to try, I'm willing to watch. That's the thing. That's the thing about all this stuff is like, hey, sometimes it doesn't work, but hey, I'm willing to watch if you're gonna try.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah,
all right. I think we should wrap this up because it's 3.5 hours in, and hey, this has been a lot of fun, guys. As per usual, Skyler, this has been great. You've been sticking around. You're probably feeling as good as I am.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I do this all night. I appreciate you having me on.
I don't know. Yeah, the door's always open, man. I mean, if you ever want to just I'll send you a link when we're just talking some shit right here, and just, talking about this nerdy stuff. Always welcome to join the conversation. Ty, thank you for joining too. We'll go around the horn. Go ahead and promote yourself. Skyler?
Skyler Shuler. You can follow me at Skyler Shuler, Instagram, Twitter. I like to talk all things movies. It doesn't have to be Disney. So if you're a fan of Warner Brothers, let's talk Man of Steel. Let's love it. You can check out the Diz Insider. If you're a fan of Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, Pixar, all that good stuff. We do some cool stuff, drop some cool scoops. And come check us out on all social media.
What's crazy is like the Pixar filter is now becoming a viral thing. Have you noticed that? Everybody's trying to Pixar themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like a
huge
thing now.
It's horror. It's horror. That's what it is. It's horror.
It is horror.
So does it make you like animated?
It makes you look like a Pixar character. Yeah.
Oh.
There's like a filter out there. People are posting it like crazy. I've seen it like the last couple of days, and it was trending for a bit there too. Everybody's Pixaring themselves. So,
oh God,
scary.
So if you want to see what you look like as a Pixar character, Ty, go ahead and
check that out.
You'll have some big eyes.
Yeah,
that's a common trait is big, huge eyes.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop on TikTok and find the Pixar.
TikTok.
Find the
Love it.
Find the Pixar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead and promote yourself.
Okay. Yes, my name's Ty. I'm with the Pop Culture Corner. We got a live in July thing coming up with guests all month long, raising money for breast cancer. I did just lose my mother a couple months ago to it. So we're going to be raising money for breast cancer all July with tons of guests and cool stuff going on. And then this weekend we're covering E3. I won't be doing it, but we will be. So follow us at pop_culture 2020 or just, search the name in YouTube.
And then really quick, that's awesome. Shoot me a link to that charity because I had a grandma that luckily survived it twice. I'd love to, support, help out in any way I could. That's awesome that you're doing that.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, definitely for sure, man. And maybe you can come on and we could talk too as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The more
Yeah,
the
he's
more the
got-
merrier. Dave's always welcome, and
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
the
Been on a
the
couple
good thing
times.
about you know, dealing with all this pandemic, dealing with this the like her disease is, I had found this community of people like
Yeah.
on by doing this that have really like supported and just been there and really cool about everything. So this has been really helpful to my mental health, if you want to call it, right?
That's good.
So it's been a little bit easier. So to everyone out there, thank you. And yeah, for sure, I'll send you a link.
Cool.
And thank you guys thank you, Dave, for having me on. It's been a while, and I was getting vodka withdrawals. Yeah.
Yeah. No, man, I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, doors always open when it comes to this stuff. And, I just like having just these kind of conversations and everything. And thank you to Jarbo for showing up and giving his 2 cents and everything like that. And you guys know what to do. Hit that like, thumbs up before you leave. Hit that notification bell so you know when I'm doing this stuff. If you want to join Film Junkee, become a member, do so. Hit the member button. I do members only vlogs, as well as once a week I do a live stream with just the members and everything. And if you want to join the Patreon, you can see what I'm doing ahead of time, see stuff I'm working on. And then of course, once a month we do a Patreon stream if you want to come on and talk to me, all that stuff. And then of course, we've got the Film Junkee closet that's also down below if you want to get yourself some merchandise. Got the Film Junkee vodka stream shirt right here, of course. And yeah, guys, we appreciate it. We will of course talk to you later.